president's delusions.
France's National Assembly gives final approval to an assisted dying bill after years of debate. Patients must be at least 18 with a serious and incurable illness. Supporters say it allows choice. Opponents warn of potential pressure on the vulnerable. The U.S. Mint starts producing a new $1 coin featuring President Trump to help celebrate America's 250th birthday. The commemorative coin will be out in the fall. It's not gold as originally planned, but instead has a gold finish. Federal law prohibits depicting a living president on U.S. currency, though the Treasury Secretary has the authority to change that in some instances. This is AP News. Prime Minister Keir Starmer steps down Monday and hands over power to new Labour Party leader Andy Burnham. Charles de Ledesma reports from London.
In his final Prime Minister's questions, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer tells lawmakers he had reorganised the Labour Party, making it electable again after a period in the political wilderness.
And after 2 years, we've stabilised the economy. We have invested heavily in our public services. We've put better protections in for children, particularly on child poverty. We've strengthened our defence and we've enhanced our international reputation. I'm proud to leave this country in a better shape than I found it.
Britain's parliamentary democracy allows governing parties to change leaders and thus prime ministers without the need for a general election.
Heavy downpours are still drenching South Texas with flash flood risks in effect. The storms also spawning a tornado in San Antonio, washing out roads, leading to dozens of high water rescues. I'm Julie Walker, AP News.
As parents, we have a million things running through our minds. Playdates, checkups, groceries, laundry, diapers, work, carpool schedules, picture day, swim team, did we mention diapers, birthday parties, meal prep, lost permission slips, dentist appointments, and the dog that still needs to be walked. So it's easy to make a mistake. Oh, I forgot birthday candles. Sit tight, hon, I'll be right back. We say we'd never put our kids in danger by leaving them in the car alone. Oh, wait, since when are candles not on the baking aisle? But never happens. And temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you, and every time you park the car, stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Holiday Guam. Good morning, guys. Welcome back. Mornings with Patti on the Wave 105 FM, 6:07. It is a Thursday, July 16th. We are streaming online this morning. You can find us at thewave105.com. Like, subscribe, and do follow our YouTube channel. That's Wave 105.1 FM Guam. And the show this morning is being brought to you by our friends at Subway, where you can eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience or for delivery right at your doorstep. Online ordering at subwaypacific.com. It's powered by Good to Go. We deliver at Subway. You got to refresh to be fresh. Bank Pacific, where others place branches, we place roots. Visit bankpacific.com today. GTA, we start with you. Mobile gas stations turn every fuel stop into rewards with Mobile Smiles. Download the app today for exclusive offers and faster rewards at the pump. Mobile Smiles, fuel up and save. Take Care Insurance Company, Our Island, your health plan. Triple J Auto Group, close your eyes and open your senses. The all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5, it is here from $29,985 or $198 per paycheck for qualified buyers. That's Triple J Mazda. Shop, dine, and relax at the Agana Shopping Center, your destination for food, fun, and local favorites all year long. Patch tinting and detailing for all your special interior cleaning. Call 483-7522. Code 1 Store is your tactical shop for public safety and everyday gear, serving Guam since 1999. Shop 511 Tactical and Condor Outdoor, plus steel toe footwear. Stop by Code 1 Store today. And Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Good morning, Guam, and welcome back. It's Mornings with Patti on the Wave 105 FM.
Introducing the all-new Subway Wraps. Now you can make any footlong a wrap. Light, delicious, and satisfying without weighing you down. Subway Wraps make fueling your day easier than ever with bold flavors and fresh ingredients. Try the cheesy garlic steak wrap today. Subway, eat fresh, feel good.
My name is Emma. I am 13 years old. 6 years ago, I was injured in a car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. Once I completed rehab, my mom applied for a canine companion service dog. Last January, I finally got to meet my service dog, Marcia. We quickly developed a very strong bond. Together, we go to my horseback riding lessons, school band practice, swim meets, and archery classes. Together, we pick vegetables, and we like to cut flowers. I love Marcia. She makes me feel like together we can do anything. I can't imagine life without her. She's a part of the family. We are just one of the thousands of teams Canine Companions has paired together over the past 50 years. With your help, we can continue for another 50. Visit canine.org to see the many ways you can change lives.
I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. Let their story unfold and gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. Hire skills first. Learn why at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
My name is Erica, and my son Kason is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kason is still here. Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
To kids, summer isn't just time off. It's time spent building confidence and curiosity. But when school meals pause, millions of kids lose access to the food they count on during the school year. As a neighbor-led network, Feeding America is deeply rooted in every community, ensuring summer meals continue nourishing growth and potential. Your support puts healthy food within reach, fueling the future for kids and their families. Give now at feedingamerica.org/summerhunger.
The road to Adelup is off and running. This time, we sit down with Republican candidate Speaker Frank Blass and Dr. Mary Okada. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 7th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
Hafaday Guam, over the last 2 years, we have built strong relationships, opened new doors, and created real opportunities for our island. Those partnerships continue to grow stronger, and together, we are making meaningful progress for Guam. Early voting for 2026 primary elections begins July 9th and runs through July 25th at the Westin Resort. Tuesdays through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now is not the time to lose momentum. The foundation has been laid. The relationships have been built, and opportunities before Guam have never been greater. Your vote will help ensure we continue moving forward together. I humbly ask for your support and your vote. Let's keep building a stronger future for Guam. I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
With decades experience in Guam and the region, Take Care members have access to the largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs. Membership also includes the high-quality credentialed network of on- and off-island healthcare providers and the one-stop FHB Health Center and urgent care. Ask for Take Care. Call 671-647-3526. Go to takecareasia.com for more information. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details.
Guam is building the future, and the right conversations start here. SAME Guam Post invites you to the 2026 Industry Forum happening July 28 through 30 at the Dusit Thani Resort. Join military, government, and industry leaders as they come together to discuss Guam's future in infrastructure, resilience, and regional growth. This premier event connects you to Guam's next generation of infrastructure. Registration is open. Visit guamindustryforum.com. The 2026 SAME Industry Forum, delivering Indo-Pacific readiness.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
105.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam.
You ready? Who's ready for some of that good love? Count me out!
And you've got it tuned in to Mornings with Patti.
Come on! 1, 2. Good love, that's what I'm drinking. Let's sip it down, go without thinking. Good love, that's what I'm making. We'll break this house when it starts shaking. Come on!
Come on! Oh, the man said it is time for us to start things off at 6:16 in the morning. I hope you're ready. Are you ready? Got to be ready. Yes, absolutely. Welcome to the program. We are Mornings with Patti at 6:17 in the morning. I'd be the Patti part. Yay! And Dice is on the other end. Who I am pleased to say gets as equal billing as this show, even though it has my namesake. It has equal billing because I will go in front of the public and only get asked about Dice.
Oh God.
Well, I mean, that's how it's okay. I mean, it's how is that embarrassing? People like you. I would say thank you. Honestly, people, I think that when people make it known, it takes a lot. When's the last time you walked up to somebody and just said, you know, I listen to you all the time, or I watch your lawmaking, or, you know, I mean, whatever, hey, you're doing a good job. Not everybody gets to hear that. And I was saying that to somebody the other day, like I wrote this random text to somebody who was in government, and this is not a political statement, and it has nothing to do with anything other than I had an interaction with him. And it was an interaction that was handled professionally and with humility and all sorts of stuff. And I wrote them a random note last Friday, I think it was. And there was no response, but I wrote a random note just saying, listen, I really appreciate your professionalism. And I honestly appreciate people who tell the truth. Because in our line of business, that's kind of what we go for. We're hoping that people will be transparent and tell the truth, because people make decisions based on that truth. And you don't want to screw up an entire population who isn't getting the solid facts. And so it was just a little greeting. And then after I was done with it, I thought, God, was that too much? And I kind of second guessed myself. And then somebody wrote back, and one of my friends said, actually, not very many people get to hear that, especially when you're in a level of government and making decisions. It wasn't the governor, by the way, but I'm saying that at some level, it is a thankless job that you are committing so much, and a lot of these guys commit their entire lifetimes to the work. Good or bad, lawmakers or elected officials, it's the ones that have shined are the ones that sometimes don't. They shine in that they're working from behind and they're doing all of the right things, but they don't get a lot of the credit. And I thought that, you know, if somebody came to me, and people come to me all the time and say they like what they do, I always get really, like, you know, I'm in my feels for a second. And when they bring up Dice's name, I just get even more excited because it's
lying.
not. Yeah.
I want y'all to know, but I be making stuff up.
I
be making it up.
Well, they also know that too. Hey, you know what?
Lying.
No, I think that when you do that, people know it, but they may not say it. They might be really cool about it. But yeah, it's a
cool job. I enjoy doing.
No kidding, man.
It's a cool job.
Definitely a cool job. Anyway, so it is. It's 20 minutes after 6 o'clock, and
Already, boy, I sent a bunch of messages off to a bunch of people to ask them some questions. One question I have was about a release that came out yesterday from the governor's office in which she was, excuse me, calling for a special session. Emergency session, I take that back. And the emergency session was designed to appropriate money to some areas that needed immediate attention. And I guess that wasn't taken so much as an emergency because as soon as they went into session yesterday, they immediately called for a recess till tomorrow. She called it urgent funding, and they instead went in and recessed until Friday. I think she was hoping that there would be some action that was going to be taken yesterday afternoon, and it was to address urgent funding. It was the bill that would provide $31.3 million of unappropriated general fund revenues that would go toward responding and recovering from this past super typhoon, giving child care subsidy payments and other obligations for the airport. It starts with $13.36 million for Super Typhoon Bobby emergency response and recovery, and $11.4 million for children's subsidy payments not received by the federal government. They were warning people last year that come January, those subsidies would disappear from the federal government, leaving a lot of people who are relying on this child care subsidy without extra money to pay for child care. And it would be up to the government of Guam to try to make up for that. And I think $11.4 million is the price tag. $9.25 million for federal aviation fuel tax remittance obligations. Excuse me, that was another one of them that she deemed to be an emergency. $8.4 million to the airport's fiscal budget shortfall. She said in a statement I'm reading for the PDN this morning, it's an easy access piece of work. She said in a statement before the session, the urgency of the funding spurred her request to call lawmakers in. Quoting here, the immediate nature of these funding warrants considerations in special session to protect the health and safety of our people, sustain critical government services, satisfy existing governmental obligations, support Guam's ongoing disaster response and recovery efforts. And so they went into session. Don't know quite what that meant, but they went, as soon as they got in, they voted to recess until tomorrow morning. The Democrats tried to do it yesterday, but they didn't. They were overruled. Senator Treister Lahi, according to Skylar's story, objected to the recess. So I'm still trying to find out why. In the meantime, let's get to Ben. Ben's in Dedido, I see. Hi, Ben. Good morning.
Good morning, Patti. 105.1. You're right. Without dice, it's just different.
Without what? I'm sorry?
Without dice.
Oh, without dice. Absolutely. Oh, no question about it. I'd be sitting here talking to myself.
Yes. And let's not forget Jeremy Chaprus.
Mm-hmm. Yes, another great producer. Absolutely.
Yeah, he'd be in there jamming while he's putting you in the show.
You know, I think that each of these producers, to include Bob Gaith, who was the original OG morning slot host of this program, came to the party with these strengths that have helped build this from the ground. You know, when Jeremy took over, I was just starting. I had just taken over the morning responsibilities. And so I just had the direction of John Anderson. That was really the person who built this program, and to try to, become still relevant long after he's gone. With the help of people like Jeremy, he kind of updated, the listenership and updated what people were listening and hearing. So though over the years he's been instrumental in bringing a different sound, Dice brings a lot of information, and she certainly brings a lot of humor to the program, lightens it up a whole lot when things get heavy, and certainly helps improve my mood. So, I'm just I'm grateful that I've had the likes of her here.
Yeah, Dice can even open up his own show. But just to let you know, Patty, elections just right around the corner.
Yeah. And
some of the signs should have been either disposed of or at least dismantled or put back up.
Oh yeah, I saw in front of the Guam Election Commission, there's 2 signs on the ground. One is Josh and Tina's, and the other one is Frank Bloss and Mary Okada. And I think that anybody who's thinking that this is a tight race might look at that as a sign. A sign of the signs being down. It was humorous that both those signs just fell over, or they just weren't picked up after, but they're sort of rotting there in the little bushes right outside the Guam Election Commission.
Yes, and it shows the professionalism and people are looking at that and say they can't even take care of that.
I think that's going too far. I don't think that the placement of signs are.
There's one right in front of the G-Mart in Jigo, Mary Tory, and it's laying there and it's got water all over it, and it's kind of like it doesn't look good. I mean, they should at least stand it up or take it apart or something.
No, I agree. I agree that they should keep monitoring on their side. I don't think it's I wouldn't go as far as to say that is, an identifier for them.
When it's right in front of the highway, everyone's looking at it. You don't need to monitor it. It's laying there. They're responsible for putting it up. They should at least take it apart, or maybe they can say it's fair game, and I can use some of that wood.
I would be more upset if these signs were ignored, being in the way of traffic or fallen over in a pathway and nobody picked it up or became a danger to the public.
It's right by the road and it's laying there and it's got water sitting in it, stagnant, and it smells. I mean, you can go up there today to Yellow Park and look at it and say that doesn't
I'll take your word for it. So are you not going to vote for Mary Torres because of this?
I'm not
out of curiosity.
It just shows that man, if we're going to vote these people in for our leaders, and they can't even take care of their signs, it shows that what are we putting, what are we voting for? And another thing, Patty, it's just, I forgot, but I'm not saying that they're bad people or they're not good people, but it shows, because if that was me running, man, I'm going to make sure I show the people that I'm responsible. I'm going to go up there and at least put it up or take it apart or, you know what I mean?
Point taken, absolutely. Point taken.
And one more thing, we went after Michael when he was running for a $5,000 contribution that he took for his campaign thing. We got a lot of stuff that when you see something, say something. And what I'm saying is we got some white-collar crime people running around for free, and they got away with it. And someone needs to put a stop to that. And there should be an open door where we can go in and voice what we have to say. That way they can look into it and say, whoa, this guy ain't joking. Just follow that trail right there, and that will open some doors to some of the people that you guys want to take care of, because we can't have people in our office or running our system or our government, and they're getting away with things because they know how to do it. Anyway, Patty, just to let you know, your radio station gets addictive, man, and sometimes when my radio don't work or my phone don't work, it drives me insane. But anyway, Patty, you have a nice day. I just thought I'd mention that.
All right, have a great day, Ben. Thanks for calling. All right, I really do believe that that people do, will take it that far. I've seen more petty ways for people to not support a particular candidate, and that's their option. I mean, sometimes the pettiness is the way we vote. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's representative of the actual candidate, because I think if Mary Camacho Torres had known that that her sign was creating an eyesore, or Josh and Tina, or Frank Bloss and Mary Okada, I think that if they knew that their signs were creating an eyesore, or even if they knew that it was impeding traffic or getting in the way of people's health or safety, that they would dispatch their people. I think what Ben probably should remember is that a lot of times during these campaigns that are of that degree, we're talking about gubernatorial campaigns here, we're talking about a congressional campaign, there are hundreds of people that are involved in these campaigns, and they don't necessarily go out and place their signs and put them up and, do all of that sort of hard work. Maybe they will. Maybe sometimes it's for a photo op. But whatever the situation may be, largely these are done by a crew of people that are supporters of theirs, that make sure this is their skill set and they want to contribute to the campaign, and so they do this. There's a lot of oversight that people have, because the typhoon was merely near 2 weeks ago, almost not even 2 weeks ago. And because of that, maybe there are people who are, trying to get their own power on and not thinking about the signs on the side of the road. But since you brought it up, I'm pretty sure that now that things feel like it's settled in, that power is coming on and water is trickling in, that perhaps they'll, listen to this and go out and make some changes. If somebody, as a result of this conversation, puts up the Blas Okada sign and the Josh and Tina sign at the bottom of the hill where Guam Election Committee, right on Fahrenholt, then I will call you and let you know that these guys are listening. It is the bottom of the hour. We're going to go ahead and take a break here. Be back.
Hafaday Guam, over the last 2 years, we have built strong relationships, opened new doors, and created real opportunities for our island. Those partnerships continue to grow stronger, and together, we are making meaningful progress for Guam. Early voting for 2026 primary elections begins July 9th and runs through July 25th at the Westin Resort. Tuesdays through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now is not the time to lose momentum. The foundation has been laid. The relationships have been built, and opportunities before Guam have never been greater. Your vote will help ensure we continue moving forward together. I humbly ask for your support and your vote. Let's keep building a stronger future for Guam. I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
Hafaday Guam. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It's time to hit the streets right now for your first look at your traffic report, brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. You could schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO, or if you'd like to look at our inventory, you may also visit our website if you go to guamautospot.com. All right, my friends, let's see what we got going on the northern end of the island. It looks like traffic is moving nicely this morning. That's going to be along Route 1, getting around Anderson Air Force Base this morning, coming around Our Lady of Litness Catholic Church for our friends on East Sang Song Road, as well as Machechi Road. It looks like traffic is light this morning up and around Dedito, as well as Route 3, coming around the Micronesia Mall. We got no delays there, as well as our friends in Teedson this morning, or up in Barragata. That's going to be along Route 16. We would like to remind everyone just to watch your speed limit this morning. Let's keep our eyes on the roads, not on the phones. No texting and driving on the streets of Guam. Ensure that your seatbelts are fastened and that our kids are strapped safely in the proper booster and car seats. This is your traffic report right here on the Wave 105 FM. It's all being brought to you by our friends at Guam Auto Spot.
The road to Adelup is off and running. This time, we sit down with Republican candidate Speaker Frank Blass and Dr. Mary Okada. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 7th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
With decades experience in Guam and the region, Take Care members have access to the largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs. Membership also includes the high-quality credentialed network of on- and off-island healthcare providers and the one-stop FHB Health Center and Urgent Care. Ask for Take Care. call 671-647-3526. Go to takecareagent.com for more information. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details.
Guam is building the future, and the right conversations start here. SAME Guam Post invites you to the 2026 Industry Forum happening July 28 through 30 at the Dusit Tani Resort. Join military, government, and industry leaders as they come together to discuss Guam's future in infrastructure, resilience, and regional growth. This premier event connects you to Guam's next generation of infrastructure. Registration is open. Visit guamindustryforum.com. The 2026 SAME Industry Forum, delivering Indo-Pacific readiness.
Code One Store, your one-stop shop for public safety and everyday gear. Shop trusted brands with tactical pouches, apparel, and footwear. Serving Guam since 1999. Celebrate liberation with our special giveaway happening now. Code One Store. Gear up today.
When Guam is not heard in Washington, our families pay the price. We pay it in higher costs, in housing that feels out of reach, in food assistance put at risk, in our Manamco and neighbors with disabilities still waiting for benefits they've earned. Mary Camacho Torres is running to change that. She'll fight to lower costs, deliver fairness for our veterans and downwind communities, and make sure Guam finally has a voice that's heard. This election, vote Mary Camacho Torres for Congress, #1 on the ballot.
I'm Mary Camacho Torres, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the Torres for Congress Committee.
My name is Erica, and my son Kason is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kason is still here. Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
.37 now. Welcome back to the program. Watching a lot of news yesterday. Boy, I was watching Senator Ossoff, who is apparently like one of the shining stars of Congress right now, tearing apart Todd Blanche during a hearing, and it was painful to watch the kind of assault this man is taking. Well, it's not painful because people have to be held accountable, but sometimes you listen to these confirmation hearings and it's so difficult because nobody's answering the question. I can't imagine how frustrating it is to be in a venue like that, in that particular, not only being seated as the person who is up for confirmation, but the frustration of trying to get answers out of these guys. We've seen it with Pam Bondi. We've seen it with Kash Patel. We've seen it with God, I've forgotten her name already. What was the name of the lady from Homeland Security? What's her face? The girl with killed her dog. Oh my God, somebody's gonna tell me. Anyway, well, out of sight, out of mind. I don't have any lasting memory of her. But the point is that watching them evade these questions and the frustration by these very, astute lawmakers that are just calling it like it is, and for the sake of the American people, they're actually going down the road that many want to hear. The pussyfooting around about, it's a yes or no answer is because that's a strategy that is used by lawmakers when they feel like somebody's not asking the question, that they'll divert into a whole nother and not stay on track. And those of us who are listening, and you don't have to be an interviewer by trade to understand or know where this is going. An average person will look at how frustrating it is. You know, it's kind of like you're talking to a small child, and you want to know if they took cookies from the cookie jar, and you know they took cookies from the cookie jar because they were all of the evidence points to them. And so you ask them, did you take it? And then they go roundabout and tell a whole long story, but they haven't answered the question. And then you could do this exercise for a while, and then finally you're just like, did you take it or not? And they're like, well, what happened was I was in the kitchen, and you're not, no. Did you do it or not? It's a fact. It's just a fact of the situation, and it's frustrating. And I think that people is like cut to the chase, that they think that these lawmakers or these interviewers are being so. I mean, they set up the question, and there's a whole strategy behind asking the question and setting up the question, because you know that the person that you're going to be interviewing is going to take all sorts of avenues to avoid doing that, to stay on them. To stay on them for the answer, is an exercise in patience for sure. I was perusing a lot over the past couple of days, just watching the media, and I stumbled on a story as obviously many people have not seen, or they have not commented about it, but it ran on KUAM exclusively last night with Don Sulot, who wrote a story about how the celebration of the GPA bucket trucks being brought back to Guam so they can assist in the recovery of power after Super Typhoon Bavi on Guam, it was a 15-hour trip, turned sour when it was found that contraband was in these trucks, or at least one bucket truck was carrying contraband from Saipan. Did you hear about that?
I told you guys, don't you love Saipan? I'm not even mad at that.
Well, I mean, I
can't be
well,
mad
apparently
at them
somebody's mad about that, because it just sort of mars the whole situation.
I mean, it'd be different if it was like, we found drugs, firearms,
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would be different if it was ice.
You know what I mean?
But it was alcohol, and it was fireworks. It was like somebody thought.
Little booze, little fireworks.
Yeah, somebody thought that bringing in alcohol and fireworks on a government truck.
Okay.
During a rescue operation was a good idea. It's just, what it does
I
is
think they deserve a little celebration given the
Sure.
workload that they've been.
I guess they just
right?
are saying. I agree. I guess they're saying is you can't use GPA trucks to bring in illegal fireworks or alcohol. And I mean, in the scope of things, absolutely. If you're of the mindset, these guys deserve a break, and they worked really hard, and they still use GPA trucks during a mission that was humanitarian to smuggle in items to Guam. And that'll get somebody in trouble, whether you agree or you think it's funny. That they're going to have to go after them. And that's it. Kind of what it does is it puts a blemish where the blemish shouldn't have been. And that's unfortunate. But, fireworks, they must have, fireworks in Saipan are clearly accessible. Or easily accessible?
Very legal.
Yeah, and so the reason why it's probably tempting to bring in those fireworks so you could shoot them off here. And the alcohol, there's a certain amount of alcohol that you can bring into Guam. I mean, I don't think that you can bring, I think you could bring up to, I think it's a gallon of alcohol in your, suitcase from someplace. I think that that's illegal, but anything above that looks like you're going to sell it. They don't really care how much alcohol you're consuming, but it is illegal to bring in alcohol if you don't have a license to sell it. And there's a process by which that all, happens. So if you're bringing in large amounts of alcohol, the thing is, I don't know if alcohol in Saipan is actually kind of expensive, depending on where you get it. I'm assuming. So maybe it was alcohol that can't be found on Guam. Maybe it was tuba. Maybe it was something that couldn't be found. Maybe it was a brand or a type of alcohol that they couldn't find on Guam, and they found it in Saipan. So, however that turned out, somebody's in a whole heap of trouble now, and that I think. Oh, Christy Nome, thank you. So they're in a heap of trouble, and it just what it does is it just kind of mars. I think what they're trying to make it look like is, they were smuggling something. It was contraband. They used government vehicles as the vehicle by which to bring it to Guam illegally. And I want to say that it doesn't feel like it's a big deal. It's going to be a deal because someone's going to obviously have to pay for it. Either I don't know what the proceedings are for administrative action against somebody. But I think that most of us are going, well, I mean, okay, fireworks illegal, can't bring that in. Of course, alcohol in large amounts. Oh, okay, but can anybody get a hard pass on this one? A slap on the wrist? Are they going to send the guy to prison, or how's he going to get fired from his job? And I'm not sure that most people actually thought that this was a big deal. Because the way it was presented was, the way that Don Sulot presented was, what was a sort of celebration of GPA's hard work and dedication, Guam's dedication to its familial relationship with the CNMI, was overshadowed by this. And I really want to maintain that. I don't think it's overshadowed. I think it's somebody probably just didn't make the right decision. And, maybe, probably knowing full well it couldn't be done. Otherwise, they would have put it in their own suitcase and brought it over if they thought it was okay. But as it turns out, it was smuggled in a GPA bucket truck. Maybe they didn't think that anybody was going to notice, but they took advantage of a good deed that the government of Guam was doing and sort of put a dimple in it. And whether or not it's a big thing, I guess remains to be seen. But Customs and Quarantine is on it. And, I don't know if it was like a full-on search of all of the other trucks, but that happened. We're going to head over to the Department of Youth Affairs, where Lonnie Brennan joins us on the line. Good news for kids who might have lost some time off during summer youth employment, that you guys are actually expanding the employment. Hey, Lonnie, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Patty. Good morning, Guam. Yes, we're going to extend the program. It was supposed to end next week, Friday, July 24th, but we're extending it an additional week, and so the program will now end on July 31st.
Oh, well, and the kids, they don't go back to school. A lot of them don't go back to school for another week or so. So after that, right? Yeah,
I believe the first day of public school classes is August 10th, so it gives them, some time to get ready for school.
Yeah. Well, I would be if I were in that position, I'd be trying to make up for the time that was lost, that they couldn't go to work, number one. And there's nothing wrong with a few, a little more spare cash before school starts, right?
Definitely, especially after the typhoon, right? This is an opportunity for the kids to make a little more extra money.
Yeah.
And we're trying to expend all of our summer youth employment program allotment from the legislature. We don't want to have lapses, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely. So, because the program was only supposed to, lapses seems like the bad word around here. If you've got any money sitting in a bank, it sounds like the governor is saying, let's use it before we absolutely have nothing in the next fiscal year, it sounds like. But as far as DYA goes, I remember talking to you a couple of months ago where the conversation turned to your budget, and you feel like your budget is satisfactory to the needs for this next fiscal year as well?
Well, I think that at the time we spoke, it was the ceiling that the governor gave us. Basically what happened was the legislature decided that they were going to move some funding around. We're not getting exactly what that ceiling was. We've spoken to our oversight chair. It's going to be tight, but they took from operations and they put it more towards programs, which is the Summer Youth Employment Program. That stayed status quo, but it was our West Care Sanctuary contract that got a little more than what we did last year.
Mm-hmm. And what does that mean? Does any other operations will suffer greatly, moderately?
Well, operations, is key. We run a 24/7 youth correctional facility, and so operations is always a priority. Obviously, programs and services really do help to decrease recidivism, right? The more programs and services like summer youth employment, like our sanctuary contract, that really helps with overall support where youth need support. But in terms of operations, we do, it didn't anticipate, this current budget didn't anticipate like organic growth, right? Our increments, merit bonuses, the rise in utility costs. And so we're going to have to really look at that, scrutinize that, and see where we can move, money operationally to run effectively and efficiently.
And that seems those two terms, running effectively and efficiently, are used around this time of year always when they're dealing with the budget. DYA will never have. There's never going to be a satisfaction of the amount of money, no matter what the administration is. Right? You guys are not going to be overflowing with money, and I'm not sure ever that you did in the history of DYA, where you had more money than you had to do.
Yeah, it's always been that struggle. And again, we're not this big agency. We're not like DOC where they're just overcrowded. There's just so many gaps, right? And they have it difficult. Not just at the budget during the budget cycle. DOC has issues every month, every week, right? And so. We don't see the same kind of attention. DYA doesn't see the same kind of attention that the other bigger agencies do. And so we try to make operational changes just like everyone else does. But, we're just going to have to wait and see with this budget. We did try to leverage our opportunity with applying for several grant awards. And so we're waiting on that. And that will help. That will definitely help.
And also in our last conversation where we talked about the state of the population, that you see that it has diminished, and for the reason that there are, additional programs that have been made available that kind of direct kids in a different way. Are you still feeling that even during these summer months that you are not seeing these large number of kids that are breaking the law and finding themselves in DYA because of bad summer decisions?
Yeah, we track the numbers, and typically without a summer youth employment program, the numbers during the summers always show a higher admissions rate. And I think we tracked it for the last 25 years. That's proof, right? That, keep the kids busy, keep them occupied in positive youth development opportunities, and they will, you can steer them away from criminal activity. It's not 100%, but it's definitely better than when there are no programs and services during the summer.
So you have seen that number drop?
Oh yes, definitely, definitely.
That's actually wonderful news that you are seeing typically these numbers going up. Do you attribute it to what? Summer youth employment, maybe one program, but was that enough to keep them out?
No. We have to encourage the camps that CCDF funding supported. The summer camps, just the opportunities during the summer, even like the sports programs that are offered. It's not just summer youth employment. It is a program that takes in huge numbers, but it's a collaborative network of community-based activities that are offered during the summer.
And also the last time I talked to you, I'm glad we're catching up now, but the last time that we talked, you were having some feelings about closing of schools, and you thought that especially JP Torres Academy, Success was one of those areas where you're not out of the woods, even if you have a lower population, that these are programs that will allow for these kids to be able to find alternatives into a school environment that best suits their needs.
Yes.
What has happened since then?
So we were worried that the impact of JP Torres closure, because our teachers come from that program, that we would not have an in-house educational program. It has since been clarified that our program, it's called Lihing Famagun, will still continue, will still operate in the same manner it has, but just within the Department of Youth Affairs.
Okay.
So we're not losing our educational program.
Okay. Well, it was kind of a moment where I thought, Judy Wampat has taken a bunch of hits from all sorts of avenues about this. And, of course, the lieutenant governor, was strongly against it. I'm not sure how much of influence that has. The board didn't agree with it. And she was kind of standing alone on a plan that she says was already hatched by her predecessor before she came in. So she'd been taking a lot of hits on that. But I just was wondering what that conversation was looking like to be able to accommodate a segment of the population while still finding a way to save money within the Department of Education with low enrollment.
Yeah, I'm just so glad that it really doesn't impact our program within the Department of Youth Affairs. That takes up, the largest part of the day, and that we're all about 24/7 programming from the moment a youth wakes up. They do hygiene, breakfast, and they have a routine schedule that they follow. This structured schedule helps it decreases violations, infractions. It gives them the opportunity to go through the day with a structured plan, which is very helpful when you run a corrections agency.
Yeah, absolutely. Lonnie, I appreciate the time. Good. I think it's a great decision to allow these kids to work even further into the program so that, picking up a little extra bucks, times are tough for their families. And
exactly. And for those reasons, despite the chaotic coordination effort that my staff has to go through, they're carrying out the directives to continue it for one extra week. Some host agencies, because of Typhoon Bobby disruptions, they are not able to accommodate the kids. So my staff is, in the midst of transferring a few kids that can't work at the agencies they were assigned to.
Yeah. That's assuming that everybody is able to continue to work, even if it's expanded, if the system is
right. Correct.
The program.
So even the youth participants and their parents have the option to continue or not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's that. That has everything to do with their own personal scheduling, but. Times have been tough for these families, and a little extra, couple of dollars here or there to try to. This recovery is on top of the Sinlaku. So you could. It's like gathering cats. You think that you got them all in the cage, and then one escapes, and then they're all gone, and you're back doing the same thing. So, Lonnie, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to explain why we're doing it. And also, the money was allotted for a specific purpose, and that's what we want to utilize it for.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it is an opportunity, and we're happy to do it. It has been a rough last couple of weeks, and I kind of want to give a shout-out also to the staff at DYA for because right now we're doing payday, right, for our kids. This is their second paycheck, and then it's just in the middle of this, I'm saying, okay, guys, we got to extend it, and they're like, oh, okay. But yeah, so I just wanted to shout out to the staff at DYA. In particular, the lead is Danielle Camacho. Just I've got such a great bunch, such a great crew.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's been keeping us up to date. The thing about it is that the funding is already there. So if the kids weren't showing up because of this issue, they weren't getting paid. Is that about right?
Right.
So you don't want any.
Correct.
You don't want any.
They're part-time employees. They're not entitled to typhoon leave, holiday pay, and so every hour they work is what they get paid.
Yeah, and so you don't want any lapsed funds on this program. It doesn't look
good
on
paper. And we
paper.
certainly don't want to shortchange the youth and their families, right? Many of the kids say that the money that they have goes toward their school supplies and other things in preparation for the new school year.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Lonnie, good job. Congratulations on another successful program. These kids are learning. I have my own grandson that's working in the private sector.
Yes.
He's working in the private sector because that's his level of interest. And witnessing. I used to do the summer employment program, but I tell you, back in the summer, we didn't do much. You know what I mean? It was like a summer vacation. We didn't really do much working at the legislature. But
trust me, these kids are really getting entry-level experience, and they're recognizing that a public servant also is steeped in recovery when we go through an emergency situation like we last did.
Yeah.
Recovery. it's hard for everyone.
Well, I was actually talking to Kathy Calvo from Payless, where my grandson decided, because they had an IT program, an internship program that he thought would be helpful to his first working experience. And I was saying, what these corporations and what this government does for these young minds cannot be ignored, what these kids are bringing to the table, especially in the area. I'm constantly asking for how do I do this, and with a click of a button, this kid is fixing something I've stressed about for 24 hours. So as we get older and the technology continues to improve, I'm not keeping up with it for obvious reasons. But it is great.
But we have to give the kids an opportunity to catch up with it, and that's what we're doing.
Absolutely, and I appreciate all of that. Lonnie, it's good to talk to you. How did you guys do with the typhoon? Your family okay?
Yeah, our family's okay. We didn't get island power back until this past, I believe, Saturday night. But all in all, we did well, better than Rhoda for sure.
Absolutely.
So we can't complain.
Thank you for saying that. I think a lot of people are keeping their mouths zipped because other people have had worse off. I appreciate your patience. Thanks a lot, Lonnie. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you too.
It's my
Take
pleasure.
care, Patti.
Absolutely.
Too.
Lonnie
Bye-bye.
Brennan, she's a director of the Department of Youth Affairs. It is time for us to hit that AP News. That's happening right now. Dice has got your Thursday traffic, and we'll take a look at your weekend weather. That's coming up here on Mornings with Patti. We are KGUM-FM in Daddy Do Guam.
AP News, I'm Julie Walker. England and Argentina resume one of the fiercest rivalries in international soccer in the World Cup semifinals, kicking off right now in Atlanta. Fan Nick Shabalachush can't decide who to root for.
I think both semifinals are the best in history. Those countries which deserve to play, you see. And today, my heart is divided.
The winner plays Spain in the final in New Jersey Sunday. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is confronting questions about his brief but turbulent tenure atop the Justice Department during a Senate confirmation hearing. Topics include the Epstein files and January 6 pardons by President Trump. In another Senate hearing, Trump's nominee to serve as Director of National Intelligence, Jay Clayton, who believed he won the 2020 presidential election, is also being grilled. Georgia Democrat John Ossoff.
You refuse to answer a basic question about who won a presidential election, but you asked to lead America's intelligence community? Isn't it humiliating to be unable to answer this question, to have to indulge the president's delusions?
France's National Assembly gives final approval to an assisted dying bill after years of debate. Patients must be at least 18 with a serious and incurable illness. Supporters say it allows choice. Opponents warn of potential pressure on the vulnerable. The U.S. Mint starts producing a new $1 coin featuring President Trump to help celebrate America's 250th birthday. The commemorative coin will be out in the fall. It's not gold as originally planned, but instead has a gold finish. Federal law prohibits depicting a living president on U.S. currency, though the Treasury Secretary has the authority to change that in some instances. This is AP News. Prime Minister Keir Starmer steps down Monday and hands over power to new Labour Party leader Andy Burnham. Charles de Ledesma reports from London.
In his final Prime Minister's questions, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer tells lawmakers he had reorganised the Labour Party, making it electable again after a period in the political wilderness.
And after 2 years, we've stabilised the economy. We have invested heavily in our public services. We've put better protections in for children, particularly on child poverty. We've strengthened our defence and we've enhanced our international reputation. I'm proud to leave this country in a better shape than I found it.
Britain's parliamentary democracy allows governing parties to change leaders and thus prime ministers without the need for a general election.
Heavy downpours are still drenching South Texas with flash flood risks in effect. The storms also spawning a tornado in San Antonio, washing out roads, leading to dozens of high water rescues. I'm Julie Walker, AP News.
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munia Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
Pacific has a $100 gift for all recent high school and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo, we'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply. Member FDIC.
When families feel safe, communities grow stronger. Senator Chris Duenas passed the Malik Act to put more officers on our streets and confront the meth crisis hurting too many of our people. He led efforts to expand affordable housing through the additional dwelling unit and advanced nitrate bills. And now he is authoring his second balanced budget that protect essential services while supporting private sector jobs. Steady leadership, real results. Re-elect Chris Duenas. He's focused, balanced, and ready.
I'm Chris Duenas, and I approve this message.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Patti, Guam. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It's time to hit the streets right now for your traffic report right here on the Wave 105 FM. It is being brought to you by our friends at Guam Auto Spot, where you could schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO. Or if you'd like to look at our inventory, you may also visit our website if you go to GuamAutospot.com. We got light traffic this morning for our friends on the southern end of the island. We're looking at Route 4, getting around Malesu in Alahan, Malolu, Talafofu, up and around Dutton, as well as Chalampago. We've got no delays on that side. It is beginning to pick up for our friends along Route 10. We got a little north and southbound there. Mangilao traffic is also moving nicely, as well as Barragata, Mongmong, Toktu, Mighty. That's going to be along Route 8 this morning. Light traffic there, as well as our friends in Hagatna, getting around Anigua, Center, dancing around Patti this morning. No delays on that side. We just want to remind everyone to please watch your speed limit this morning. Let's keep our eyes on the roads. Make sure you're not texting and driving. Allow some braking distance between yourselves and the vehicle in front of you, and we should all be able to have ourselves a safe Thursday morning. This is your traffic report right here on the Wave 105 FM. It's all being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot.
The road to Adelup is here, and this time we spoke with Democrat candidates, Senator Toris Terlahi and Senator Sabina Perez. Here is your opportunity to hear how they plan to govern Guam. Watch the conversation on Wave 105's YouTube channel, dated May 28th. This is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Hafiday, Guam! The Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association invites you to the Fair Trade Show, Guam's premier hospitality and food service event. Join us August 19th and 20th at the Hyatt Regency Guam from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Experience hands-on training sessions and exciting culinary competitions featuring professionals, apprentices, and pastry talent. Discover new products, connect with suppliers, and celebrate Guam's hospitality industry. Don't miss Fair 2026. Visit GHRA.org for details.
We're shedding old fears today to look at how one of the world's most terrifying creatures secretly saves human lives in modern hospitals. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for July 16th.
World Snake Day is typically a time when wildlife sanctuaries try to convince us that these slithering reptiles aren't quite as scary as they look. But while snake venom is universally feared as a dangerous toxin, it is actually one of modern medicine's greatest assets. Laboratory scientists use the complex proteins found inside viper and cobra venom to synthesize critical, fast-acting pharmaceuticals. These specialized medications lower high blood pressure, dissolve blood clots, and stop strokes in emergency rooms every single day. By studying how these predatory chemicals interact with human cells, researchers have successfully transformed a deadly weapon into a weapon against disease. It turns out that a creature we usually associate with danger is secretly helping to preserve millions of human lives.
You know, that's really pretty incredible that the snakes use this as a defense to get rid of us.
Yep.
So we take them and use it to save us.
We should let them know and thank them.
Probably.
I think they would really appreciate that.
I'm still creeped out by snakes, okay? I'll admit it. We are also celebrating National Corn Fritters Day and Get to Know Your Customers Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks, world-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
Registering a domain name on the web? You should know about Pairnick. Pairnick offers .com names at a great price with quality service you expect. Because Pairnick is powered by internet leader Pair Networks. Whether you need a domain name for business or personal use, Pairnick is your best choice. Remember Pairnick when you need a domain name. That's PAIRNIC.com. Pairnick.
News, insight, conversation. Wave 105, the talk of Guam.
Down with Democrat 105.1 The Wave is the Guam. Start your morning with confidence right here on Mornings with Patti.
Who's that? Oh wait, that's me. Reflection so on fleek. I'm it, that's all I need. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Top check, I'm good, I'm golden. I got that groove unfolding. Hot beat so smooth, I'm rolling. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
11 minutes after 7. It is a Thursday morning. I was just asking Dice if she'd ever gone to that place, Oleai Beach Bar and Grill. I guess a landmark in Saipan, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm just reading that they closed, and it isn't just because of the Typhoon Senlaku really put the nail in the coffin for them, but it's the chronic problems that they're having with tourism in the CNMI that is also linked to it. Having not to be able to recover after that, and then not having a consumer base, finally made the decision. And the signs of the time that have definitely been showing since, the really big dramatic end to the DFS and Saipan, and you can only just have memories of these places. I've always wanted to go, never had an opportunity, and now I guess I'm just another opportunity lost for some great things happening up there. And I would be remiss in not having to call attention to a couple of young ladies from Tinian who also, we were talking about Harvard University yesterday, and the fine education that Alex Gale, a local boy, he's the son of Kate and Andrew Gale, is attending Harvard. This is his last year. And he is here for the Din and Tonics choral group that was performing. And so I just want to recognize a couple other kids from the Marianas Press reports Isa and Cielo Long are back in Tinian after graduating from Harvard University. And they talked to them about their achievements. So congratulations to these two young ladies for having received education from a higher institution that is iconic to education in the United States. And, it always doesn't feel too far away when these young kids from the islands have the resources to be able to get education at a fine school like that. We are moving over to the Department of Customs and Quarantine, where its director, Ike Pareto, joins us on the line. Hey, Ike, how are you?
Hi, Patty. Good morning, Juan.
It's been a long time. I want a couple of things that I want to ask you, but first of all, you guys okay from the typhoon? Everybody survived. I know that there were questions about how Customs and Quarantine was doing at the port, but is everything all right with your department and I guess you personally?
Oh yes, definitely. We fared pretty well, and we're all right. Just minor probably debris that fell off over at the kennel facility. But other than that, we're managing.
Okay, well that's good. That's good to know. We've already gone through Sinlaku. I feel like a lot of these agencies have fortified since then, right? Repairs that were made if there was any big devastation or destruction from the last time. So we're grateful. We're grateful that all is normal. And I guess that what makes a case for this is the fact that you are still doing inspections. Talk to me about the arrival of the GPA trucks. I guess it is par for the course that these trucks are inspected because they're coming in through another place. So that has to go through customs vetting, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely. Yes, and we've been communicating with GPA officials on this, to include the Port Authority of Guam, on how to expedite the movement of those GPA vehicles, because they are needed here in Guam for their recovery purposes. Mm-hmm. And so we made arrangement for the inspection of all these vehicles. But again, one of the things that we're really concerned is all these vehicles that are coming in, especially from CNMI. We are worried that vehicles that are coming in are properly washed down for the purpose of biosecurity, because we have in the past encountered hitchhikers on vehicles that are coming in, especially heavy equipment vehicles. And of course, we were prepared to ensure that when all these bucket trucks that are coming in are properly inspected, to ensure that there's no soil on them, to protect the people of Guam from a biosecurity standpoint. In addition to that, also the officers are also going through the routine inspection of making sure that when this vehicle comes in, that they are properly inspected.
Yeah. Well, so it was just a matter of this is what happens when vehicles or anything comes in from other places. It has to be vetted through the port. Was there any particular concentration? Had you gotten any word early in that there might be something illegal being brought in with these trucks?
Not really, but we are aware of some of the challenges that we have with respect to imports from CNMI, especially fireworks.
Yeah. So is that the contraband of choice when you're coming from Saipan? Is that you keep an extra eye out for stuff like that?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that that's actually a big market for fireworks to cut in from Saipan. It sounds like it might be easier than I thought, except for if you bring it in through a government truck. Yeah. So let's talk about let's talk about what makes this illegal. What does the law say about that as contraband? Yeah. And it was also alcohol, right? So.
Yes. Well, first of all, fireworks has always been a prohibited importation. As you may be aware, there was a law that was enacted, and then the legislature keeps going back and forth with the initiation of that law. But actually, fireworks is a prohibited product coming in. And we've been made aware of this, that Saipan and CNMI, they're allowed to import fireworks. And in Guam, we're not allowing fireworks into Guam because of the law.
Well, doesn't the law the law they didn't repeal the law, did they? I may not be up on the news here, but did they repeal the fireworks law, or everything was put on hold until the rules and regulations? I forgot.
That's my understanding.
That what?
But if I'm not mistaken, there was another law that was brought forward by the legislature, and I think it was Senator Tello. I think that issue up. And that's where we're at with that. So
I forgot. I forgot. Either way, I mean, even if it's illegal, if it's legal on Guam, it's illegal to import. I mean, and the potential danger for something like that, obviously. Was there enough? I mean, were there a lot of fireworks that we're talking about?
I think there were 4 boxes that were found in one of the compartments of the bucket truck.
Yeah. Okay. where there's a will, there's a way. People are going to, the people fire off fireworks illegally on Guam all the time. I guess somebody just had a lapse in judgment in actually bringing them in, especially in a government vehicle. What about the alcohol? What's the, how?
Okay, so again, the alcohol was also intercepted on one of those vehicles. It seems like the alcohol were in the coolers, and several liquor were also combined with, I think, probably 2 6-packs of beer. But other than that, just to say that nobody's allowed to, it's prohibited to import alcohol through cargo unless you have a business license.
Yeah. I mean, in large amounts, right? You can bring, there's up to a certain amount of alcohol that you can bring on your person when you're arriving in Guam,
Yes,
right? Okay.
you're allowed 1 gallon.
Yeah, a gallon,
Actually.
that's what it was. All
Yeah,
right,
but you have to come into as baggage and carry it as your personal exemption.
Right. You can't put it in the glove compartment of a GPA
A
truck.
cargo,
and
yes.
Yeah, of cargo. All right, so I'm sorry, 6-pack of beer, and how much of the, regular alcohol was there?
Several bottles of liquor.
Oh, okay. Just curiosity, what kind was it?
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of liquor it was?
No.
I was wondering if it's like something that only you can get in Saipan, or that it was
No.
cheaper. Like,
No,
what would
no.
would compel somebody to want to buy, Tito's vodka in Saipan, because it's not necessarily cheaper than it is on Guam. Maybe
No.
maybe they just had it and didn't want to waste it. There's that. Okay.
That's right. They probably had to get together prior to coming in, and there was leftover liquor, and they probably decided to just bring it back.
Yeah, it's balutin. It was just balutin. It would be, in a case like this, Ike, I think that there's the sentiment among, the public is, hey, listen, these guys worked a lot, hard, and I think that the overall, tone of this is, lapse in judgment. Probably shouldn't have used a government vehicle to smuggle this stuff in, but we're not also talking about throwing the book at them, right? I mean, what does the law say about the infraction?
Well, 2 things. The fireworks is under the fire department code, so we will turn that over to the fire department.
Okay.
And then with respect to the liquor, we do have an understanding with revenue tax on how to dispose the liquor.
But what, I mean, are you filing charges? I mean, how is that? How is that going to be handled criminally?
I don't think
okay,
so.
All right. Little pat on the slap on the wrist kind of thing. Maybe there's a fine, that maybe that they'll have to pay by. I'm not sure if there's a fee structure for fines or fine structure by revenue tax or by the fire department, but it's not criminal behavior.
No.
Yeah, and overall, I think the reason why this is even a story that is because I think everybody has had like a special place in their heart for these GPA guys, and
Oh, definitely, yes.
And nobody wants to see anybody necessarily get in trouble. I think it was a lapse in judgment. Who wants perfectly good alcohol to go to waste? They're going to balutin it, and they just happen to. They probably just happened to use the wrong place to do it. They could have put it in their suitcase if it was less than a gallon. But however this turns out, it is not. I don't really believe that the public's judgment of this is going to sour the entire Guam Power Authority. I think somebody just, wasn't thinking correctly and is probably going to get a slap on the wrist administratively, maybe, or something. But I think overall, I don't want to negate the good mission that they were on in order to do that. Maybe I'm being too liberal about it, but okay. Well, I'm glad because there's bigger fish to fry here, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So I want to, there was an arrest recently of what they were calling a big kingpin, a drug kingpin, and in the search of this man's residence or property, they were able to find tracking records for drugs that were being sent through the U.S. Postal Service, which we've had this conversation before, where the Attorney General feels like, inspecting these containers or inspecting the baggage that comes through the airport seems to be a higher priority than seeing them where they typically are coming through the U.S. Postal Service. That's still the way, the choice, right? The strategy is to bring them to the Postal Service because they feel it's less detected than coming through like inspecting containers at the port, or people's bags at the airport.
That's true. That's true. And we're still seeing that.
Yeah. You're still seeing it coming through the port and coming through the airport?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody's asking, will they inspect the containers? I'm not sure quite what they mean, what the context of that is, because you do inspect containers. Am I missing something?
At the port, you mean?
I'm assuming so. Wherever the containers, I'm assuming it's cargo.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We're still doing inspection down at the port.
Yeah. And so have you uncovered, to the degree that you're finding drugs coming through the U.S. Postal Service, the same for the containers at the port or in people's personal baggage coming out of the airport, flying into Guam?
No.
Oh.
No, I can safely say that of all the cases that are going to the federal courts, nothing has ever pointed out that it's coming through the port. It's everything that I've been reviewing during the adjudication process points to the post office.
Yeah. And so the game has been upped. It sounds like that the game has been upped in getting that the Postal Service, you have a closer look on it. You have more control over the inspection of these parcels.
Yes, yes.
And
we have a good working relationship with the Postal Service right now. In fact, we have our officers that are assigned to the Postal Task Force, and they're really, really doing a good job.
Yeah. Talk to me quickly, Ike. I want to revisit this question that I've always wondered, that if these parcels are coming through the mail, then obviously they're stopping at different places in order to get to us, wherever these points of entry are. And one of the points of entry is Honolulu, because this is where a lot of our packages come from. Why is it that they can make their way through these other points of entry so that they're not detected and allowed to just come straight to Guam? What's happening on that front end where we don't know what's coming through the mail, or do we know, and that they know that they've detected drugs in their inspections at their point of entry, but they're allowing them to go through for investigative procedures?
Well, normally that's the work that's been put together by both our agents and the U.S. Postal Service. But yes, a lot of these parcels are going to Honolulu and then coming to Guam.
Yeah. So why are they allowed to continue to come through from that port? Why are they able to come back from that point? How are they able to come to Guam if they're also inspected in Honolulu?
You have to understand, just like Honolulu, Guam is a U.S. territory. Honolulu is part of the United States, and mail movement are not restricted to move from one state to another.
So they're not.
So for you to stop a mail moving from any of these domestic places, you need probable cause and a search warrant. You cannot just take a parcel off the postal stream and say, I'm going to check this. You need to have probable cause, and you need to have a search warrant to open those things.
Oh, now, okay. So they're not scanned. I mean, they're scanned at the Postal Service for a tracking number, but they're not necessarily scanned through an X-ray type of machine to determine what if the contents look off or that there's no probable cause. But you want to be able to. Can you scan these packages before they leave Honolulu? It seems like in this day and age that there's some form of vetting that comes through to stop the possibility that somebody is sending anthrax or a bomb or something that could.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's something in the mechanism to detect those, but I don't want to comment on that. That's what U.S. Postal Service is doing in Honolulu. I don't know, but I can tell you here in Guam that even for our local guys here in Guam, we cannot take a partial an X-ray.
Oh, okay. So You only know when it comes in that there are, unless you're tipped, right? You only know when they scan it when these parcels come in through Guam.
Yes, yes.
So you don't have necessarily, unless you get a tip that these drugs are coming in. So you're inspecting every single package that's coming in. What's the probability of us missing large amounts of drugs coming in? How are we pinpointing certain ones?
Well, our understanding that the U.S. Postal Service is they have allowed us to use our canine dogs, our drug detector dogs.
Mm-hmm.
But even at that, there's thousands of parcels that are coming in on a weekly basis.
Right, and
so our mechanism of checking the post office is we're trying to use the drug detector dogs during this particular time.
Okay,
and that's why we're hitting a lot of these things.
Yeah, and the dog, the canine detectors are boy, they must be working overtime. Are they?
Well, definitely, they're always working.
Okay, so they're sniffing out all day long, is what you're saying. When batches of mail comes through, they're out there actively, like as if passengers come through and you have drug sniffing dogs at baggage claim, that kind of thing.
That's what they're supposed to be doing
every day, all day. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. I just thought, for some reason, I think I had a conversation with a postal inspector years ago who said to me at the time that one of the common practices is in the world of investigation that parcels are allowed to go through knowing, and it may be because they got a tip that it is, that parcels are allowed to go through even though it contains contraband, illegal substances, so that unless they're detrimental to the plane carrying it, that they allow these parcels to go through, so on the other end they see who's picking it up, and that's part of the investigation. But a lot of times you already know who's picking it up, which is why you have people staged at the airport to see who's actually coming and retrieving these packages.
Yes, and that's true. But you have to understand too that this postal inspectors work with the postal inspectors that are here in Guam and with our people, and that's how we work this particular inspection.
Yeah. Okay. The one you're talking about with the kingpin.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, hey, if it's a crapshoot to see what containers are coming in, I guess it was a good find that this guy was arrested and they found evidence that he's been doing this. Is the preference is to send it through the mail, and apparently he got nabbed for it. So good job on that. I appreciate this, Ike Perito. It's always good to talk to you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
All right, it's my pleasure. 7:31. We'll take a break here. Be right back.
The road to Adelup is set. This time, we sit down with Democrat candidates Senator Joe St. Augustine and former Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 8th on the Wave 105 YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Wave 105, hop a day, everyone. Welcome back. We got to see what traffic's looking like right now. 31 minutes after 7 o'clock in the morning, streaming online at thewave105.com. Your traffic report for you right now is being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot, and you could schedule a test drive. All you got to do is give us a call at 478-AUTO, or if you'd like to look at our inventory, visit our website. All you got to do is go to guamautospot.com, and we're looking at traffic right now, getting around Hagåtña. It looks like traffic is moving nicely for our friends up and around the Hagåtña Shopping Center. We got no delays getting around that area. As well as Sinahaña, traffic is light as well. Traffic is beginning to pick up for our friends getting around Manilao this morning. We got a little north and southbound there, and coming around the Barragata Tri intersection, Crown Bakery 76 Circle K intersection. We've got some north as well as southbound traffic. Route 16 is looking really nice this morning. No delays getting around Harmon or coming around Machechi Road as well as Bella Road. Dedito as well as Jigo traffic is beginning to build up. We are not at the 8 o'clock rush hour just yet, but we would like to remind everyone to please just watch your speed limit. Let's keep our eyes on the roads, not on the phones. No texting and driving on the streets of Guam. Ensure that your seatbelts are fastened. Remember, Guam, seatbelts are sexy. This is your traffic report right here on the Wave 105 FM. It's all being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot.
Bank Pacific has a $100 gift for all Region High School and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo, we'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply, member FDIC.
Military officer, law enforcer, policymaker. Service has been the cornerstone of Congressman James Moylan's life. James Moylan swore to protect America as an officer in the United States Army. As a parole officer, James worked with families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. He was elected to the 35th and 36th Guam legislatures, and now James Moylan represents Guam's needs in our nation's capital as a member of the United States Congress. Congressman Moylan has fought for more than $3 billion for Guam, including almost $1 billion in military construction and roads, and law enforcement and first responder vehicles and equipment. Moylan is also working vigorously on standing up a regional office right here on Guam, a game changer for our 25,000 plus veterans, 40 years and 4 oaths. Dedicated, resilient, trustworthy, and proven. That's James Moylan. Re-elect James Moylan for Congress. Moylan works.
I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
The road to Adelup continues. This time, we sit down with Republican candidates. Vice Speaker Tony Atta and E.J. Calvo. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 5th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details.
My name is Emma. I am 13 years old. 6 years ago, I was injured in a car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. Once I completed rehab, my mom applied for a Canine Companion service dog. Last January, I finally got to meet my service dog, Marcia, who quickly developed a very strong bond. Together, we go to my horseback riding lessons, school band practice, swim meets, and archery classes. Together, we pick vegetables, and we like to cut flowers. I love Marcia. She makes me feel like together we can do anything. I can't imagine life without her. She's a part of the family. We are just one of the thousands of teams Canine Companions has paired together over the past 50 years. With your help, we can continue for another 50. Visit canine.org to see the many ways you can change lives.
I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
Close your eyes and open your senses. The all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5 is here from $29,995 or $198 per paycheck for qualified buyers. Triple J Mazda.
As parents, we have a million things running through our minds. Playdates, checkups, groceries, laundry, diapers, work, carpool schedules, picture day, swim team, did we mention diapers, birthday parties, meal prep, lost permission slips, dentist appointments, and the dog that still needs to be walked. So it's easy to make a mistake. Oh, I forgot birthday candles. Sit tight, hon, I'll be right back. We say we'd never put our kids in danger by leaving them in the car alone. Oh, wait, since when are candles not on the baking aisle? But never happens. And temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you, and every time you park the car, stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Community conversation starts here. Wave 105, the talk of Guam.
Of all of my dreams. Always Tuesday when we park and I lose everything. Wednesday was lost, it's the middle of the road. Tuesday so busy, I had chores a millionfold. But when the weekend comes along, I'm gonna make some time for tonight is Sunday.
Hey, digging the vibe. Sounds like a couple of artists that are on my playlist. Is Dee still with us?
No, she will be calling
sorry,
us
bro.
back. No,
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, she was calling earlier. I can let her know. I said you can hang on or call back, but yeah, it's up to her. 20 minutes now before 8 o'clock. We do have been looking for a couple of things. Thanks. I've heard. I think that the nature of the business is that you don't divulge too much. Okay. And so I'm down for that. I completely understand you can't divulge too much and the strategy on how they find contraband or how they do this. It's a larger part of the issue. People are wondering, can you inspect every single container coming in through the port? No. That's not an efficient way. Apparently, the systems don't work that way. But in large part, the data has shown that we're not bringing drugs through the port. We're bringing drugs through the postal service, and that people are bringing drugs on their person. One of those things is really the most hardest to do, and that's bringing it in on your person. I mean, when's the last time you tried to smuggle something in?
Never.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
I tried.
I'm good.
I had a second thought about stealing the blanket the one time I was up in business class. They had a nice little Saks Fifth Avenue blanket, and I was like, I thought about it because I actually saw somebody who.
No, I'm lying. I did mango seeds. I did. Those strains when you get. I'm guilty. Very
Me too.
Illegal mango.
But
seeds.
you didn't. Oh,
did
you smuggle? Did you?
No,
just,
I made an attempt to.
Yeah. But you weren't trying to do that deceivingly.
No. But yes, I did find out that.
Me too. I did the same
seeds.
thing.
Mango seeds.
Oh, you were going to plant them here.
Yes.
So I had these really good mangoes that I got from my cousin Patrick, Leon Guerrero, who lives in Saipan. Okay. And he gave me a few of these mangoes because they're so delicious. Right. I wanted to bring them home, and it wasn't so that I could eat. I mean, that I could plant them. I wanted to bring them home so I could enjoy them at the state of ripeness when they arrived, and I would have a day or two before it started to really go to its full. So I saved the ones that I received, and I didn't eat them, and I was tempted in my hotel room every once in a while to grab one and just chomp on it, but I knew to have patience so my taste buds would thoroughly enjoy it. Because when you're eating mango, and if you're not from here, listen very carefully. The way people eat mango in other places is they slice it up and then they score it and then they kind of pull up they invert the skin so you've got a nice little bulb of perfectly cut mangoes that you can hack into. Not here. The rule is you bite the tip of the mango. Tell me if I'm right. You bite the tip of the mango and then the juices start squirting and just kind of making its way. And you slurp it up, and it's just delicious. And then you start like peeling off the skin by raking it through your teeth. Are you with me? Are we here? Okay. You rake it with your teeth, and then you then hack into the meat, down to the fibers. You are sucking on that mango seed until every last piece of that mango has been consumed. And then even then, you could take whatever flesh is left on that mango seed, and you could dip it in Tabasco sauce and salt or fresh doni, and the same guy can't do it. Dip it into it's just one per show, and dip it into this mixture of doni and salt. And you can eat one mango, and it'll take you a long time to get through all of those fibers. And then the end of it is that you have to pick all the fibers out of your teeth. Yeah. Now that's the way I eat mango. Right on. Right. And
I try not to. Because, all you got to do is get one red flag, and then they just constantly watch. It's like, watch Dice. Here comes Dice. What you got, tangerines this time? What's next on your list, Dice? It's like, oh, God, come on, guys. It's agriculture.
Yeah.
So I really do try to follow the rules out here, yeah. But
yeah,
nothing, no, I don't do it.
I had a feeling that I was going to get zapped, which is why I didn't try to conceal it. I figured concealing it and finding it, because they're pretty good at customs. They ask you the question. And they look at your face. Are you bringing in any fruits or vegetables or living items? And I'm not going to stand there and go, no, sir, and then lie, and then they find it.
Yeah.
If you have that global entry, it's like TSA pre-check, but it's the global entry, which encompasses, you can get, you've been vetted by the United States, basically. Right. Okay. If you lie. Okay. If you lie on anytime you come into the United States on your citizenship or any infraction you make against the federal government at the port, at the point of entry, they'll take that privilege away from you, and you can never get on the airplane first again, right? So they make it very, very clear.
Choices,
and I also am not going to lie to a federal authority about mango. It's not worth it, right? Not at all. Even if they're not going to throw you in jail, like they're not going to throw anybody in jail for smuggling in a couple of bottles of alcohol and a six-pack of beer with some fireworks, they're not going to throw me in jail for sliding in three mangoes.
They do a great job.
Yeah, you don't want to lie to them.
Some Marmars confiscated. I've had some Lays confiscated. I think they do a really good job. No, I'm like, okay, all right, I tried. They're like, Dice, what is this?
Yeah.
It's a Marmar. For what? It's like, gosh, okay, all right, cool.
And that is that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, but nothing too extreme.
So I had these three mangoes, and I just kind of put it in my suitcase. And then they asked me, do you have anything?
Right.
Did you bring any food products or fresh vegetables and fruit? And I said, yeah, got some, my cousin gave me some mangoes, right? I go, Carlotta Leon Goretz, her brother. I was dropping all sorts of names.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And they're like, can we see it? It was a lady.
Okay.
And she opens up my bag and she finds the mango and she said, yeah, we have to confiscate this. I go, I put up a fight. I did. I was a minute. It took me a minute because I was really disappointed. And I said, there's somebody who just walked in front of me with a lei and marmar on her head. You didn't even inspect it.
Sure.
Maybe I should have worn a wreath of mango around my head, and it wouldn't have been such a big deal.
They will shake it. They'll spin it. They'll shake it and spin it and see what kind of
comes out.
Falls off of it.
Well, the mango was perfect. It was a perfect mango, and I said, "Then why are?" She goes, "Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't see the marmar." I said, "She's still right there." I mean, and it wasn't like go get her. Right. It was like, what's the policy? I don't get it. You know what I mean? A marmar is okay, but three, mangoes is a problem. And she said, because there is a small bug that they're finding in island mangoes that are transported into Guam that are not from here, and they can have the potential to wipe out the crop. Now, I certainly took that as it's going to be up to me and my little mangoes not to infect the entire island.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, that's as good as an excuse as any. And I'm like, okay, I mean, what are you going to say? I insist. I mean, what are you going to do? It's doggone mangoes, right? And you don't want to also be fighting with a customs officer.
For sure.
That just makes them want to go into your medicine bag. That just makes them want to shake you down in a secondary, whatever vetting. inspection. Like, you don't, it's just you got away with it. Go get a mango from Agate. Calm down.
Depending on whose shift, because, I don't mind being, checked a little bit. Be like, yes, please do. I got something in my pocket. And this one. And this pocket.
Yeah.
Sometimes
but you're not going to tell them if it's anything that's not legal, right?
I'm like, yes, ma'am, check my pockets. I want you to check me. It depends on who the officer is. It's like,
oh, I see what you're saying.
Please,
I want the
me.
whole shakedown.
Right, I want the whole shakedown.
And I want your number when we're
your
done.
Number when we're done.
I see
and
where
your
we're
number
going.
When
there.
we're done. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for sure,
I have no desire to be shaken down by a handsome man.
Yeah,
that's like a road to nowhere.
For sure. For the most part, I really do try to follow all the rules.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we try to be.
Yeah, why not?
We try to be a law-abiding citizens here.
Well, of course, of course.
We try.
Yeah, you don't want to be be that girl that's appearing in
not
the
doing that.
in the paper.
Not putting me in KUAM. I'm not going to be on the cover. Don Sulat, leave me alone.
Don Sulat hasn't.
Don, leave me alone. I
mean,
Don.
It was no investigative report, that's for sure. But he did his due diligence, and they found something that's
excellent journalism.
But
yes,
well, I mean,
right.
Yeah, you do your thing. I mean, that's what your job is. And he's been in the business before. He's been in television. He's been in radio news. He knows what he's doing. But I just found it to be an interesting story. That I think the headline was a lot more dramatic than the actual story. It's the celebrated homecoming of GPA marred by contraband being found. It's like 6-pack of beer, a couple bottles of Tito. I don't know. I don't even know if it was bottles of Tito, but it was alcohol.
I would have to agree with Ike. I'm like, you know what, Mr. Pareto, thank you, sir. It's not that serious.
Really.
It's like,
well,
it's
and he said
fireworks.
that.
Yeah,
Don, I'm honestly, Don Sulat, you know how I feel about you. We are friends and we've been colleagues. I would never criticize another reporter's work. I just found it to be more interesting headline than it was the actual story. And you know how that goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. No, it's fireworks. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What was it? Okay. I just got word, as many people. Oh no. I made a mistake. Okay. I just got word from the Guam Visitors Bureau. Okay, so they've canceled the parade. National Park Service is doing a parade of wagons in the park for Liberation Day. They're taking people with good old-fashioned wagons and telling them to decorate them, and then bring them down to the park in Assen and parade them around the structure. Isn't that cool? And so it's like their own little mini version of the Liberation Day parade. It's a wagon parade. So they've been advertising through flyers. Anybody want to do something exciting? Now the Guam Visitors Bureau is asking for residents to participate in a special Liberation Day activity during the Tumon Night Market. Para y honra, para y gloria. That's for our honor, for our glory. And this is because so many people have responded to the disappointment that the Liberation Parade has been canceled. So GVB has expanded its regularly scheduled Tumon Night Market to include a special Liberation Day edition on Tuesday, July 21st. And then, of course, they're going to keep the schedule for Sunday, the 19th, of the regular Tumon Night Market. The event will feature local food vendors, artisans, cultural entertainment, family-friendly activities, opportunities to celebrate the resilience, honor, and enduring spirit of the people of Guam. For many years, GVB has proudly supported efforts that preserve preserve and honor the legacy of Guam's liberation, including assisting liberation survivors who return home to participate in commemorative events and share their stories with further generations. These efforts reflect GVB's longstanding commitment to preserving the history and significance of July 21st, 1944, while embracing this year's theme, which again is translated from Chamorro, is for her honor, for her glory, and the pride of those who endured and overcame the hardship of war. So fireworks displays are planned for Tuesday night, July 21st. It's scheduled for, guess what time? 7:21. You get it? In Agana, and a second display at 9 p.m. in Tamuning. Well done.
Nice job.
So July 21st in Tumon Night Market. That evening is the best place to go. And then again on Sunday night, July 26th. Well, way to recoup the loss. I say great thinking. You're still going to pack them in, and we're grateful for that. It is. Dee is on the line. Hey, Dee. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
I think you and I are in a. We should change careers and start renting out canopies. Because wow, how hard is it to get a canopy, Patti?
Well, I think what's happening is that there are some people who have a corner on this market. If you're having a big event, what we don't need to talk about, but when you're having an event that requires, you got a couple hundred people that might be showing up, you need to have the security, especially now, that your guests are going to be comfortable and not get wet if there's a sprinkle or anything, right? But there are a few places that have a corner on these fancy tents that they put up. They're like tents.
Yeah.
The canopies
are like houses.
Yeah, they're like houses. And so searching for one, especially during the rainy season when you're having an event, I mean, they price everybody right out of the market. Unless you're a big company or you have a big event where, you have a huge budget, no backyard barbecue is going to need to spend $2,000 on a canopy.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
I'm
just
thinking
insane.
I'm thinking what we could do is probably find out the little brown canopies that they were handing out for the sheltering.
Mm-hmm.
We could probably get a bunch of those.
Yeah.
And have them in the little brown canopies. But now, yeah, you're right. It is, and I heard that it takes a lot of work to set up one of those gigantic white.
Yeah.
Really nice bougie, how you put it, bougie canopies.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to put up. But
Yeah.
Anyways, so all is all, I did get a message from your daughter saying that lunch is coming soon. Yes.
Yeah.
She feels left out.
Well,
Patti, I don't know.
I think goes in a larger picture, because there's like a whole entire audience that is bored by this conversation, that they're not involved.
No.
The thing is that I have family members, and I don't often have family members, coming in from the mainland to stay with me. So my daughter and her husband and my grandson are here, and it's not like we have any shortage of things. The good thing about visiting Guam when you're from Guam is that you don't need to be shown around. So, you got a car, you got the time, roll with it until I get off of work, and then, we're all a happy family. But she's right now, she went to Papa Nitzuk's store. You know what I mean? This is what they're doing. They're on a...
Oh my gosh, they're out and about.
Yeah, they're on a Rockyo hunt. They're on the perfect empanada
my gosh.
hunt. I told her to go to what's the name of the Main Street Deli. They went to the Nana store. They've gone to Papa Nidzuk. They went down to the
Tell them
store.
to go to that one in Barragata, the one I got the chicken a la king from, the old Palomos.
Yeah, we were trying to go there. Guahan Stop and Go. We tried to. She said that it was closed on Monday, so I'm not sure whether or not it was. Maybe they're open now because everybody pretty much has power, right?
Yeah. Sure, for sure.
Yeah.
One thing. Anyways, so it looks like everything's running back to normal. Excited about the fireworks. I was just listening to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do have family members that flew in for the parade, but the parade was canceled. But they're happy to go down and hang out at the GVB and watch some fireworks.
Oh yeah, that's GVB fireworks are at 9:00. They got another one exactly 7:21 in Agania. I'm assuming that's going to be off at the Paseo, right? Is that where they usually fire?
Yeah. Yep. They can also. Yeah.
Oh, so Chalampago Familia is what my field producer, Laura says. Chalampago Familia for the pickled stuff, pickled cauliflower and pineapple. Stop it.
What?
Stop
What are
it.
they, just inventing new stuff now to just pickle?
Hey,
I've never heard of that.
Hey, when in doubt, Calaguin it is what I say.
There you go.
That's how.
All right.
All right. Hey, by the way, now before you go, because I know we're at the top of the hour. You'll tell me we're at the top of the hour. During the typhoon, I want to make a point about something very important here. Your daughter is like Dr. Doolittle, right? So, Chanel is a dog whisperer, and she's amassed over the years because she's got a big heart and she can't see a dog go estranged. So,
of course,
you have built an entire kennel around her habit of bringing the strays home. But
Oh, yes,
During the-
1,000%.
Yeah. So how many dogs does she have?
I can't say that because the Department of Agriculture will come and charge me for
Well,
that.
she's got
As a matter of fact, she works at Department of Agriculture, so
Well, she's got a small enough, population of dogs that
yes.
we had to build housing for them. So my question was, during the typhoon, there were a lot. Gain was desperate for having people to come and adopt a dog, and so many people opened their homes because they had the time. But there were people who were in the shelters who have pets that weren't, unless they were, what do they call those? They're not, unless they're. God, what's the word? Service dogs, sorry. Unless they're service animals, they weren't allowed at the shelter. So that there were. So they decided that they were going to try and offer cages to people so that if you have to leave your animals behind.
Yes.
What did you guys do? Did you bring them all in the house?
No. We actually Chanel built outdoor cement sheltering for her animals that she has, and it actually worked. So they have their own little hooch with shutters that we had physically made specifically for them. But Department of Agriculture did give out a bunch of kennels that they posted. They had a bunch free, and they had given it out before the storm. But the crazy thing about it was for folks that couldn't afford the $100, $200 kennels, so that they could bring their dogs that they tie inside the house.
Yeah.
But it was crazy because a lot of people that were in line were just getting them, and just to get them, I don't know the reason. But I felt bad that it wasn't, the target audience that they were trying to reach, it was just people that could afford it, but just went to go get it. No, I thought that was pretty sad. But they're doing everything they can to ensure that you could bring your pets from outdoor in, and that includes cats too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure something good's going to come out because I think she's now working in the animal control department over at Department of Agriculture. So.
Nice.
Yeah, hopefully good. I'm sure great things are going to come out. And she, does a lot of stuff. But anyways, you're right. It is top of the hour, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It's Friday.
Tomorrow, okay. What are we doing? Anything? Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, why don't you give us the ID? Do you know what it is?
The what?
Why don't you give us the ID? You know what it is?
The ID.
KGUM-FM in Daddy Guam. Remember it, babe. All right,
you got it.
All right, talk to you. All right, bye. Again, it's time for your AP News. That's ahead here on Mornings with Patti. Be right back.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The U.S. has reimposed a naval blockade on Iran and intensified its airstrike campaign. Iranian officials say at least 7 troops have been killed and hundreds across the country have been wounded. John Gambrell has more from Dubai.
This comes as Iran has been attacking ships going through the Strait of Hormuz on a route hugging the coastline of Oman. Tehran has insisted that any ship going through the strait must do so on a route through Iranian waters and must follow the instructions of Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard. Now, the U.S. had been trying to support those vessels, and the UN's International Maritime Organization had supported this route around Oman as these attacks on ships have continued, and Iran has retaliated against Middle East allies of America. This has really called into question any sort of permanent end.
Oil prices ticked a little higher, Brent crude settling just below $85 per barrel. U.S. gasoline prices also ticked up 3 cents from yesterday. AAA puts the national average at $3.89 per gallon. Meanwhile, inflation at the wholesale level eased in June. However, year-over-year producer prices were up 5.5%. In other news, Marissa Duhaney reports President Trump's pushing back against a move by his own administration.
The president urged that immigration and customs enforcement should continue vehicle traffic stops, seeming to oppose a new suspension of the practice used as part of his immigration crackdown. In a Truth Social post, Trump said, quote, "The men and women of ICE are doing a great job. one that has to be done. He also said that in order to remove criminals he claims were let into the country under the previous Democratic administration, we cannot give up on one of ICE's most important and effective crime-fighting tools, the traffic stop. But it comes after Trump administration officials told ICE officers to suspend most vehicle stops after 2 deadly shootings within a week. The deaths renewed criticism of the agency's enforcement tactics that were widely condemned last winter after the killings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good in Minnesota.
This is AP News. Donna Warder has some promising study results from the world of medicine.
A blood test could determine whether a healthy adult is likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. In the study, doctors tested for the presence of a brain protein called p-tau217, which helps fuel Alzheimer's. Dr. Risa Sperling is with Mass General Brigham Neuroscience Institute.
We found that people who have very high levels of this blood test abnormality, p-tau217, were very likely to progress over time. So 38% of them progressed to impairment within 5 years, and actually up to 78% within 10 years.
But Sperling says it's too soon for healthy people to get the blood test, which is now used to help diagnose people who are experiencing cognitive problems. I'm Donna Warder.
There's more news and the latest developments at apnews.com.
The road to Adelup is set. This time, we sit down with Democrat candidates Senator Joe Augustine and former Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 8th on the Wave 105 YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Bank Pacific has a $100 gift for all Region High School and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo! We'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply, member FDIC.
Military officer, law enforcer, policymaker. Service has been the cornerstone of Congressman James Moylan's life. James Moylan swore to protect America as an officer in the United States Army. As a parole officer, James worked with families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. He was elected to the 35th and 36th Guam legislatures, and now James Moylan represents Guam's needs in our nation's capital as a member of the United States Congress. Congressman Moylan has fought for more than $3 billion for Guam, including almost $1 billion in military construction and roads, and law enforcement and first responder vehicles and equipment. Moylan is also working vigorously on standing up a regional office right here on Guam, a game changer for our 25,000 plus veterans, 40 years and 4 oaths. Dedicated, resilient, trustworthy, and proven. That's James Moylan. Re-elect James Moylan for Congress. Moylan works.
I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho,
The
Treasurer.
road to Adelup continues. This time, we sit down with Republican candidates. Vice Speaker Tony Atta and E.J. Calvo. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 5th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details.
My name is Emma. I am 13 years old. 6 years ago, I was injured in a car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. Once I completed rehab, my mom applied for a Canine Companion service dog. Last January, I finally got to meet my service dog, Marcia. We quickly developed a very strong bond. Together, we go to my horseback riding lessons, school band practice, swim meets, and archery classes. Together, we pick vegetables, and we like to cut flowers. I love Marcia. She makes me feel like together we can do anything. I can't imagine life without her. She's a part of the family. We are just one of the thousands of teams Canine Companions has paired together over the past 50 years. With your help, we can continue for another 50. Visit canine.org to see the many ways you can change lives.
I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
Close your eyes and open your senses. The all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5 is here from $29,995 or $198 per paycheck for qualified buyers. Triple J Mazda.
As parents, we have a million things running through our minds. Playdates, checkups, groceries, laundry, diapers, work, carpool schedules, picture day, swim team, did we mention diapers, birthday parties, meal prep, lost permission slips, dentist appointments, and the dog that still needs to be walked. So it's easy to make a mistake. Oh, I forgot birthday candles. Sit tight, hon, I'll be right back. We say we'd never put our kids in danger by leaving them in the car alone. Oh, wait, since when are candles not on the baking aisle? But never happens. And temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you, and every time you park the car, stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Community conversation starts here. Wave 105, the talk of Guam.
Feeling hot, summer smoke alarm. Mirror says, woo, gonna do some harm. I'm the one, yeah, I bring the charm. Step aside, let a real one through. Thunder in my walk, lightning in my shoes. Just to watch, baby, I'm the view.
105.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam. Keep that good vibe going right here on Mornings with Patti.
Watch me do it like, I do it like, I do it like, yeah. Watch me do it like, I do it like, I do it like, yeah. Turn me up, cause I got the flow. Got 'em saying, who's that? You already know. I'm the storm, race for the show. Make room, I don't wait in line. Heavy with the drip flooded in my shine. Shut the clock, cause I got the time. Na 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 na. Watch me do it like, I do it like, I do it like, yeah. Watch me do it like, I do it like, I do it like, yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
We're back somehow or another. Something got, yeah, just, you know, when you lose your internet and life is like, no, it's the private relay that isn't working, that became unavailable, so nothing was working. Staff, our internet here. I was in timeout with you when I was texting you on a test.
Right.
I was in timeout.
Okay.
So it just said
maybe just restart.
No. It just came back on. Okay. I didn't need to do anything. But you know, internet's a funny thing, man. When you have it, it's like you wonder how you existed without it. Especially in this job, you know.
I got you.
I'm pretty sure that you have limited memory because of, well, obviously because I'm way older than you, but I think that you might have limited memory of having to use internet in your career, early in your career, that when just the advent of it all.
Right.
And it lacked so much than what you have now. And so because the technology has forced us to rely on it, that it's kind of an addiction at this point.
Got you. For sure.
It's what you go to when you've got nothing in your hands. You've always got your phone, and to lose your phone is a...
Hey, man. It's a U-turn. Hold on. Take me back to the house.
I have been late for work because I went back home.
U-turn back to the house.
It has become so much different, and I'm not saying that I can't do this job without it,
Right on.
but it is a resource that you need in order to do this job.
It helps out a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it is the thing that gets me through this show. If you don't have engagement with people, or you don't know what's happening around the world, and a lot of this comes over, you can't. In my career, early in my career, we had AP Newswire. That was the internet, basically. It was like literal wire that connected you to a place that had literal wire that was sending messages through teletype, right? Mm-hmm. And so I could see, like, we had a teletypewriter in my newsroom, and it was constantly running. They had financial reports, and then entertainment news, and then you had local news, and they had breaking news, right? And it was so immediate at the time that it would put us to shame sometimes at how quickly information is put out.
For sure, Tanya.
I was on duty.
Okay.
The morning, it was in Honolulu, the day that the Challenger blew out of the sky.
Okay.
And on that vessel was a teacher, first time she was going into space, Sally Ride, and Ellison Onizuka. I've told this story many times, but this is a different perspective. That Ellison Onizuka, who was an astronaut who came from the Big Island, was on that mission. And he had spent some time shopping around Honolulu and coming into the studio, and he just sort of became a fixture in Hawaii because he was so accessible before he actually had to report to NASA because they were prepping for this Challenger flight. And Ronald Reagan was the president at the time. And we were watching it live on television. I was in the newsroom, and I was watching it live on television, and we had wired it into the studio where Perry and Price, who I was working with at the time, I did their news. Perry and Price were both standing there. We were all sort of listening to the audio of this happening, and then I was watching it on TV in the newsroom. And so from their studio, like this is a glass, they could see my TV. And so we were all sort of quiet, listening to the audio, and then you see it blow up. And if you've ever watched one before it, you knew immediately something was out of place. Or we were standing there going, did the technology change so much since the last mission that this is part of what it is that we're looking at? Did it explode, or is that just like the separation, right? They were the booster rockets. That was the big separation. But it happened like a minute into the launch, so it seemed like it was out of order. So most people's immediate reaction, their gut told them there was something wrong. Well, once they had taken off, Perry and Price had to go back on the radio, so they resumed the show, and they'd actually gone into a song, and I got up to the window to the intercom, and I said, "I think it crashed." And Michael W. Perry says, "How do you know?" And I said, "I don't know. The TV, they stopped the broadcast. They moved the cameras away from the sky, and they're panning weird things. I think something happened." And the commentator is just talking without knowing what he's saying. He's just talking. He's just trying to fill the time. It appears that we're checking in with command, and it was like something was off. So, like I said, I think it crashed or exploded. The next thing I hear is, and that's a teletype saying, "Breaking news: the Challenger exploded." And it was like this moment where, I think the world felt this. Well, definitely America, because these were some back then, when you had face-to-face like astronauts and you see them and they're around and they were pushing the NASA program so hard that they were sending astronauts into these big cities and into these markets, these media markets, because they needed America to support NASA. It was, the funding wasn't necessarily there. They hadn't been anywhere. They did these small little things. Challenger was a kind of a big deal. And to put a civilian, a beloved teacher, into this with their parents or normal people looking up at the sky and they see this explosion, it was something. And so it was that the teletype and the ability to be able to read the news as it was coming was crucial to what we did that day. And we were on the radio. I remember being on the radio for hours because Ellison Onoziko was a son of Hawaii.
Okay.
And not everybody was getting the message because not everybody had internet. Not everybody had a teletypewriter. It was word of mouth. You really only knew that the Challenger exploded hours after it did because there was no news that was breaking that said so. I'm sorry, except for like CNN and the local channels. But the word didn't spread to people's individual devices, personal devices. It was word of mouth. So it did spread like wildfire. And then everybody was tuning into the radio because that was the station.
That's how it was.
It was the number one, and it still is. But I mean, it was in the heyday of Perry and Price, it was the place to go to, much like K57 has been in time. So definitely in good company in that kind of training. But it was hard for people to understand it and know if it was true. So we had to stay there for hours longer than the show was, only because it was hard, because we were still answering questions. Is it true? And I would pick up the phone every 30 seconds and people would go, is it true? Is it true? That's all we heard. Is it true? Is it true? And then, so hours and hours of that kind of thing was of that breaking news story. And I'm only saying this because I want to impart that sometimes if we don't get the word, a lot of it isn't because for a lack of trying. Sometimes the resources are just not there. And after the typhoon, I still don't have the resources to be able to do this. I am a customer of GTA at my home, but I'm one of thousands of customers of GTA at my home. And I have no service, and I probably won't get it for a while. And I'm not complaining about it because my backup is I went and got Starlink.
Right.
I was lucky enough that I had somebody who was coming in. I am not happy about giving Elon Musk my money.
I don't think there's a lot of people that can agree with you, Patty.
Yeah,
sure
agree with me or disagree with me. You agree with me. Yeah, I don't. But
just
you know what?
needed
The
it at the
necessity
time.
of what happens with the consumers in my home. I could still be using my regular data off my phone, my actual personal phone. Of course, that's absolutely costly to most people. That you're going to be running your data all day long. Your cell or data roaming. The cell towers are still not working fully. It's obvious that they aren't, and so it's going to be a while. And even GTA employees who I've run into have said it's frustrating even for them, because there's only so much you can do. And that's where we are today.
Yes, we are.
These things are happening. On the front of locally, the governor was calling a special session to deal with what she calls emergency. This is emergency that we provide funding that's in the general fund that has not been spent, so it can go to things that were not included or may not be projected for the 2027 budget. And they've had collections above and beyond what the expectations were, so they'd like to expend that money to help out a few areas that need it. The airport needs a little bit of a bailout. They've got problems with the child care subsidies that are no longer afforded by the federal government. That was something that they were giving to people during the pandemic, and there was a sunset on that, and sunset was January of 2026. So now you've got people left not being able to afford the increasing costs of childcare. And so they're trying to jump in to try to save the day. Well, the problem is that the legislature is having a problem. I don't know. Well, they're having a problem, but they went into session and then immediately went into recess. And so now it looks like they're not going to address this emergency until tomorrow. So clearly for the legislature, this isn't necessarily an emergency for them because they're not going to be dealing with it. And it is a party thing. And here's where it becomes another deeper party issue, because there are some in the Republican Party right now that are not completely happy with the leadership of the Republican House. They're having issues and differences of opinion. And this idea that they're going to get through a veto-proof budget for fiscal year 2027 is actually rubbing a few of these oversight Republicans some problems because they don't want to be left standing in front of their constituents or these agencies that they have oversight of and try to explain why they didn't work harder to get more money for this particular program or that project that might actually be underfunded for the next fiscal year. Everybody's office is at stake. So maybe they needed a day to try to reconstruct, but it sounds like they have some internal issues that probably might rear its ugly head if they try to get into session tomorrow. Rand Kaufman is on the line. Hey, Rand, good morning. Hi, Rand. Wait, hang on a second. Okay, hang on. Okay, I can hear him there, but Rand, are you here? Okay.
He'll get us back. He's on the Challenger, that conversation. All right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The
Rand, you're going to have to
Challenger,
call back because we couldn't get you on the air. I apologize. Okay. It's a line. Somebody's saying.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, are we back to normal now?
I can hear you. Good morning.
Okay, good. Linda Frank and I were picked as backups for Mr. Jenkins from St. John's to go to Cape Canaveral to watch the space shuttle, to watch Endeavour, watch Sally, the teacher of the Teacher in Space program.
Sally Ride.
Yeah, we put together quite a essays and what we would do if we were in space and all these kind of things. And then what happened? KUAM came out and interviewed me, and at the time I was at Cottage Homes, and we were working with some challenged youth, and we were on our way to go out on the Windjammer. And I was in my captain's uniform when I got interviewed by KUAM, and they asked me, did I feel that I was fortunate that I wasn't on the shuttle, that I didn't win to be the teacher in space. And I looked at the interview and I said, I thought we were all on the space shuttle.
Good point.
And when I said that, because everybody watching, the phenomena of watching this thing take off and everybody's cheering that it's in and on its way, and then all of a sudden it blows up. So that moment is such a strange phenomena that people go through, where you're so excited and exhilarated, and then all of a sudden, bang! It's just the opposite. So what happened? Dan down here picked up that feed of my interview, and it went to Germany, and Germany commented that they thought that interview was the most prolific in the aspect of having it being right on concerning the space shuttle blowing up at that time. So you think about, information and how it travels. And when Dan was here, of course, that's the NASA Connects that we had, where when the space shuttle would come over this part of the world, we would be able to communicate it with them. And then my greatest honor was Gloria Nelson, at the time was the superintendent of, or the director at the time of the Department of Education, and I got to do the eulogy, Patti, at the cathedral for that situation and those people that passed.
I also went after that. I just remember that after we were on the air for an easy 6 hours, maybe even more, and that's a long time for a radio program to be on.
Right. Oh yeah.
Centric to this, that, and it was all of the state of Hawaii, so it was a really big deal. I just remember after we signed off the air, it was like later on in the afternoon that Michael W. Perry came into the newsroom. And if you know Michael W. Perry, if you've ever known him, he's a celebrity, big time TV guy in Hawaii. He's always been. Everybody knows him. He came into the newsroom, and I looked at him, and he just busted out crying. He hugged
Oh,
me
wow.
and he was crying, and it was exactly that emotion. It's like you run a gamut of it. Ellison Onizuka, was a son of Hawaii, and he was a humble,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no,
Japanese,
he was, yeah, no.
dude that everybody knew. He lived on the Big Island. I mean, he didn't live in the city, and he just was a really humble guy, and he ran a very quiet life. And to catapult into the public like this was for somebody like him and a lot of people that you understand coming from that generation, they were thrust into the spotlight, and it's an unnatural place for him. So he had a great sense of humor, and he just, was a great guy. So people, in a way, fell in love with him. That was a son of Hawaii who passed away,
Right.
and everybody felt it. Like all the teachers felt it, right? It was like one of those, where were you when JFK was shot?
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely. The heartwarming part of it is when these things, the craziness of it, how it does bring people together.
Yeah.
In crisis.
Yeah.
In that aspect, and the emotions of it, and everything else kind of breaks down. You think about what is life. What is it we're doing? What's the great adventure? Where's the last frontier? Space.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Into that realm. Yeah, it's very powerful.
And that's why it was, I have to say, and I'll say it out loud, that's why it was insulting when people like Gayle King and Katy Perry, went in this rocket ship powered by Jeff Bezos, and then, just like it sort of ran to the surface of the earth and then came down declaring that they were astronauts. I was insulted because there were people who actually were in that frontier who lost their lives, not over a gimmick, certainly not over a gimmick, and to sort of assume the personality that the training and the dedication that goes into that scientific frontier could be deduced into a pop star saying, I'm an astronaut now. I mean,
they just put on a seatbelt. All their training was.
Yeah. Well, and that's why it was insulting to a lot of Americans, and definitely people from the families of those who died in that frontier. So, listen, I mean, I don't want to go sour on it, but I think the point that we were making clearly is communication in this island, and I mean everywhere. To be without it during these typhoons because of power outages and cell towers not working. Was an affront to people because they feel they
well I mean modern day I'm going to Rhoda on Monday, Patty. I was asked to bring a Starlink up there because they don't have any communication. There's no towers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how basic is that, right?
Yeah, I am in
right now today. I mean, just 35 miles north of us.
Yeah.
There's an island of people who you can't contact.
Where did you get your Starlink from? Because where did you
get that?
Because they don't have any on Guam, I don't think.
I was asked by one of the guys who have a contract up there. They're doing some work. They're expanding the runway up there.
Yeah, but I'm saying, where did you get the Starlink? Because they ran dry at the two places where I knew that they had them.
Okay, well, I'm not sure where they got it. They were just going to give it to me.
Oh, okay, got you. Never mind. It's
I'm not
a secret.
sure whether or not they already had it in stock or not.
That's federal.
Sure.
That's protected information. I'm sorry to have asked.
but anyway, what the important thing is, what we're talking about now is the internet and the communication and how there's no more hiding behind a veil. Nobody can do anything now that nobody doesn't know about, and that's the amazing thing of where we are in 2026, as opposed to where we were in 9/11 or where we were, previously during the Vietnam War, what all the different aspects of true communication about what's really going on the planet, that there's no more veil. Everything, it comes out, all the truth as it emerges. And it can be overwhelming for a lot of people. A lot of people, it's like the ostrich, right? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. And because it's just so offensive, some of the things that we're finding out about, as a species, it's really something. But here we are, 2026, halfway through, and it's amazing of all the wonderful things that are happening, throughout the world. The positiveness, where we're finding out there's Bhutan. Is a country, of course, in a little bit north of India, and they they're like, they have a survey that they do, and their government is determined by not gross national product, but gross national happiness. And they do a survey with all of their folks to determine whether or not the government is doing its job or not by how happy the people are, which is something we're working on, getting that survey. Wouldn't that be fun to do? And give that and get that out. That, you know, whether or not, you know, we get somebody up at the University, Ron, or somebody to implement it, but to do it to where we come up with a determination. Are the people on Guam happy? And to what degree are they? And continue doing the survey to continue to rise on the graph, so to speak, of improving our happiness and how we see everything around us. That's something we're looking forward to.
Well, that kind of really goes deep into the psychology of how these external forces affect what we do every time we go home and sort of take off our bra, make dinner, and go to sleep at night in our own inner sanctum, right? The extenuating circumstances that influence what happens in that inner sanctum is what people get stressed about trying to protect. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that you feel this. People who have like no power, or don't have job security, or they don't have food on the table, or a typhoon comes in and wipes out, you know, part of their ceiling and knocks in, you know, their air conditioning. When you get into the inner sanctum and of the intricate pieces of parts of people's lives, you know, the feelings are real, and how that comes out. When I talk to you, or when I go to the supermarket and they don't have what I want, or, you know, somebody fumbles the price of something and now I'm paying more. I mean, any little thing, somebody walking in my path, you can see how those external forces affect that inner sanctum, and people ruin other people's lives and days because they don't know how to react to it. And that's the part of this society that we live in, where we don't know how to insulate these feelings, right? Because they seem to seep into everything that we do.
Well, and it can be overwhelming because of the information. There's so much information. I mean, and that's why we're scrolling often so much, you know, because it's mostly information aimed at us, because, you know, when we talk about things, you know, it seems to emerge on our phones pretty quickly, you know, in direct relationship to it. So it's something that we're definitely grabbed in. It's interesting, the thought about where we are and how, if in fact, you know, you see some of the tech people who won't let their kids use iPads, or won't, you know, doesn't want them to be doing this activity because they have a feeling within their inner sanctum that it's disrupting their sleep, or it's disrupting their peace of mind about whatever their life is all about. And that's the whole thing. As my mom was real clear, you know, way back when, she says, Rand, if it's not fun, don't do it. She's a Pasadena, California girl, you know.
Yeah.
And I've always stuck to that. You know, I mean, whether or not you make money or you don't make money, if you're doing what you love to do and it's fun, then go for it, because our life is so short and it's so precious. And like the gods say, you know, they're envious of the humans because we have more, we die. And because of that, every moment is precious. Every moment is something, as opposed to thinking that, you know, eternal, and, you know, maybe you're going to procrastinate, you know, this or that because you got forever. But, you know, here on Earth, it's not that case. So it makes it so everything does turn into a diamond moment. Yeah, absolutely.
Here we are, waxing philosophical. I'm
Isn't
here
it fun?
for. Yeah, well, it is, and I also believe that even if it's not fun, you got to strap up and make the best of it. I think that if
you make it fun. You make it fun. You find it. That's the search. That's the great, you know, Davy Crockett thing. You know, when you're in search of fun, you're in search of, you know, well, I have to go a little bit farther west, or, you know, Sacagawea. Come on, guys. You know, I'm going to take you guys all the way to the big oceans, the big waters. Right? This is going to be fun. And I got my baby on my chest while I'm doing it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's amazing.
I appreciate this. Thank you so much, Rand. Good. Have a good time. Well, not have a good time, but have a peaceful time in Rhoda. I'm sure that they could use a lot of your positivity.
Well, yeah. Rhoda's a heartbeat for us. It really is. I go up there with Brent. He's an archaeologist, and we just walk around with our hands in our pockets.
Are you open to bringing other things, or are you just really? Are you strapped for? Are you sailing over there?
No, we're not gonna. We're gonna fly up. I got a great big duffel bag sitting next to me. Right, I send cargo today. We're leaving Monday, but I send cargo on Thursday today to be able to make sure. We camp. We camp up in Mochung. We camp. There's 47 Lade sites up there, Patty.
Yeah.
If you want to get close to your ancestors, go camp up in Mochung.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've never been to Rhoda, but I'll put it on the list.
You really should.
The reason I'm asking is that there's a group of people that are trying to assist a family up there, but they're trying to assemble the things that are needed, and a lot of things that they're asking for we can't source here, and they've said we're just going to have to mail it and hope for the best. So,
well, they can. Those are cargo planes are flying. I'm sure right now 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know, Rand. It's always good to talk to you. Thank you, my friend. Be safe.
Love you.
I love
Take
you
care.
too. Guides is what he. It's his mantra. It is a little bit after 8:30, precisely 8:38. Okay, we'll take a break here. Be back.
The road to Adelup is set. This time, we sit down with Democrat candidates Senator Joe Augustine and former Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 8th on the Wave 105 YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Bank Pacific has a $100 gift for all Reason High School and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo! We'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply, member FDIC.
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details.
My name is Emma. I am 13 years old. 6 years ago, I was injured in a car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. Once I completed rehab, my mom applied for a canine companion service dog. Last January, I finally got to meet my service dog, Marcia. We quickly developed a very strong bond. Together, we go to my horseback riding lessons, school band practice, swim meets, and archery classes. Together, we pick vegetables, and we like to cut flowers. I love Marcia. She makes me feel like together we can do anything. I can't imagine life without her. She's a part of the family. We are just one of the thousands of teams Canine Companions has paired together over the past 50 years. With your help, we can continue for another 50. Visit canine.org to see the many ways you can change lives.
I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
As parents, we have a million things running through our minds. Playdates, checkups, groceries, laundry, diapers, work, carpool schedules, picture day, swim team, did we mention diapers, birthday parties, meal prep, lost permission slips, dentist appointments, and the dog that still needs to be walked. So it's easy to make a mistake. Oh, I forgot birthday candles. Sit tight, hon, I'll be right back. We say we'd never put our kids in danger by leaving them in the car alone. Oh, wait, since when are candles not on the baking aisle? But never happens. And temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you, and every time you park the car, stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
My name is Erica, and my son Kason is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burned. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kaysen is still here.
Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
Military officer, law enforcer, policymaker. Service has been the cornerstone of Congressman James Moylan's life. James Moylan swore to protect America as an officer in the United States Army. As a parole officer, James worked with families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. He was elected to the 35th and 36th Guam legislatures, and now James Moylan represents Guam's needs in our nation's capital as a member of the United States Congress. Congressman Moylan has fought for more than $3 billion for Guam, including almost $1 billion in military construction and roads, and law enforcement and first responder vehicles and equipment. Moylan is also working vigorously on standing up a regional office right here on Guam, a game changer for our 25,000 plus veterans, 40 years and 4 oaths. Dedicated, resilient, trustworthy, and proven. That's James Moylan. Re-elect James Moylan for Congress. Moylan works.
I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
The road to Adelup continues. This time, we sit down with Republican candidates. Vice Speaker Tony Atta and E.J. Calvo. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 5th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. Let their story unfold and gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. Hire skills first. Learn why at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Close your eyes and open your senses. The all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5 is here from $29,995 or $198 per paycheck for qualified buyers. Triple J Mazda.
To kids, summer isn't just time off. It's time spent building confidence and curiosity. But when school meals pause, millions of kids lose access to the food they count on during the school year. As a neighbor-led network, Feeding America is deeply rooted in every community, ensuring summer meals continue nourishing growth and potential. Your support puts healthy food within reach, fueling the future for kids and their families. Give now at feedingamerica.org/summerhunger.
We're shedding old fears today to look at how one of the world's most terrifying creatures secretly saves human lives in modern hospitals. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for July 16th.
World Snake Day is typically a time when wildlife sanctuaries try to convince us that these slithering reptiles aren't quite as scary as they look. But while snake venom is universally feared as a dangerous toxin, it is actually one of modern medicine's greatest assets. Laboratory scientists use the complex proteins found inside viper and cobra venom to synthesize critical, fast-acting pharmaceuticals. These specialized medications lower high blood pressure, dissolve blood clots, and stop strokes in emergency rooms every single day. By studying how these predatory chemicals interact with human cells, researchers have successfully transformed a deadly weapon into a weapon against disease. It turns out that a creature we usually associate with danger is secretly helping to preserve millions of human lives.
You know, that's really pretty incredible that the snakes use this as a defense to get rid of us.
Yep.
So we take them and use it to save us.
We should let them know and thank them.
Probably.
I think they would really appreciate that.
I'm still creeped out by snakes, okay? I'll admit it. We are also celebrating National Corn Fritters Day and Get to Know Your Customers Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks, world-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
Registering a domain name on the web? You should know about Pernick. Pernick offers .com names at a great price with quality service you expect. Because Pernick is powered by internet leader Pear Networks. Whether you need a domain name for business or personal use, Pernick is your best choice. Remember Pernick when you need a domain name. That's PAIRNIC.com. Pernick.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Community conversation starts here. Wave 105, the talk of Guam.
What?
Okay, let's go.
What are we doing?
Nothing. I just like our off-air conversations.
Here's our off
our
conversations.
off-air conversations.
No, I don't.
I love them.
Here's
What?
our off. No, here's
I
our off.
like
No,
them.
I'm like Dice. Tell me the secret.
Wow.
No, tell me the secret. I'm like your best female friend on the radio.
And
I mean,
you
I have
know
to.
everybody.
She's got a lot of friends, and I'm not going to purport to be a best friend, but I'm your
You
best
are my
friend
best friend,
from
Patty.
6 to 10.
You are my best friend.
Well, you're my
even
best
after
friend,
10.
too.
You are my best
I know,
friend.
and
After
so
10,
why
my
you're not
emergency-
telling me the secret
Because
doesn't.
you know
it's-
everyone.
That's fine.
I don't want to
She
know.
thinks I'm going to find somebody and then talk smack about them.
That's not true. That's
I'm not going to talk smack
would,
about.
That's
no,
not
you think I'm
Why
going to?
did you say that?
Because I don't do that. I don't want. I won't.
didn't say that.
You said
It's just that you
I
might
may
know
find
something that
I don't want to know.
Yeah, and I don't want to
Okay,
know.
let's say. Let me give the
I
audience.
don't
Let me
wanna
give you
know.
a scenario.
Oh,
This isn't a
God.
moral problem.
Lord
here.
have mercy.
It's
Sorry,
about trust.
guys. Sorry, this
So,
has nothing to do
I
with
befriend somebody who
Okay,
I thought
go.
was really neat. Like,
Okay.
hey, we got something in common. That's cool.
Jesus Christ, so embarrassing. Okay, go. All right,
We're
here
just
we go.
friends. I mean, we're just
I
friends. And I'm like,
know.
hey, yo, I met this really cool guy.
Okay, that's nice.
And I just really like him. I think he's just a really nice guy. And then you come up, what's his name? I tell him your name. You're like, let me go do some skeleton shopping, right? So she finds all of the skeletons. Somebody said it's a whole damn cemetery in there. So she does some shopping, and then she comes back and she's got some dirt on the dude.
Right, okay.
She's saying, I don't want dirt on the people. I want to like what I like. And I like, okay, then I won't say, unless the person like kidnaps women and children.
Oh my God.
And has served some time in prison.
Never.
I'm here to. My research skills
trust you.
will help you determine whether or not.
know you will.
But you're going to be living in La La Land until you find out that you're friend with Jack the Ripper.
I'm hurting.
The guy just came out of San Quentin, and you don't want to know this.
No, stop. Okay,
All right. So here's what I'm going to give you.
I got you.
It's
Okay,
it's
go.
the fantasy at the moment.
Okay.
It's the fantasy of the moment. They were really pleasant and kind. I had a great conversation with this guy. And I'm not trying to pursue him or anything. I just think he was really interesting. And I just, maybe I want to see him again. And okay, that sounds like a hookup. I don't mean like, maybe I want to run into him again, or maybe I could have another conversation with him down the line. And I just thought it was a really cool one. What an interesting person. And then you come back and tell me the guy was like convicted of, slashing the reflection pool in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Then I got a problem. So you want to be able to live through the fantasy of like, this is a really nice person. Maybe we'll see each other again. Right?
Yeah, I got
I don't even know how that applied to my personal life. First of all, I'm not going to meet a man in a supermarket and start Googling all over him and then want to know who he is. That's just not my style.
True. I got you. Thank you, Patty. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Patty.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But I'm trying to be a friend. I'm trying to be helpful.
You're a great friend. You are a great friend. And like I said,
we're Leos. Leos are fiercely loyal.
You know
Did you know that?
Leos are, I would trust that.
Yeah,
I would,
they're fiercely loyal. If I take you under my paw, I'm going to shield you. Even to the point where you don't like it.
Man,
there's some people that want to escape from they want to escape from my grasp. It's like, please don't protect me or be loyal to me anymore. You're bothering me.
If anyone ever threw shade on your name, Patty, I'd beat him with an umbrella.
I know
you
would.
I got your back, dude. I got you.
I agree.
But I'm still not telling you. But I'm still not going to tell you.
You know what?
It's not happening.
For the record.
It's not happening.
For the record, she has
one.
told me more deeper secrets than this. She must really be afraid that I'm going to screw this up for her.
Please don't do that, Patty.
But she has told me things
one.
I will never repeat. I'm just saying.
I really like
this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a good one. This is a good one. I think I got a winning prize.
I could
here.
help you.
I got a winning prize.
I could be your wingman.
That's the thing, is that I'm actually doing okay so far. So far, so good. So far,
Everybody
so good.
needs a wingman. If not for just somebody to be nosy.
Patty!
I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out.
Will.
I'm going to find out. I'm going to check your algorithm.
It's not going to take long. I know it's not going to take long. I cannot deal with you.
All right. Hey, who are we talking to?
Oh, we got Tunjo.
Tunjo. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning.
Are you two arguing about?
Yes. We're arguing about, Dice has trust issues. I'm one of her best friends and she's trust issues. She thinks that I'm going to tattletale on something and she doesn't want to know.
I call because you two are arguing about.
Yeah, we're arguing. We're arguing. This is definitely a fight. My feelings are a little bit hurt that I'm not trusted, but I'll figure it out.
Tunjo,
I'm going to get my revenge.
You're not helping, Tunjo. Pick a side here.
How you doing down there in Inalahan?
Oh, we're okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay, good.
I was laughing when the two of you are arguing.
Oh, yeah. It's a daily occurrence. It's a daily occurrence. If we don't have an argument a day, something's wrong.
That's nice. It's nice.
That's good. Well, it's a friendly argument.
I got something to laugh about.
Oh, yeah.
After bush calling at the ranch this morning.
Yeah.
My morning exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I hear you. I hear you.
I was listening to Kaufman.
Yes.
About Dandan, the NASA.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. This is way back in, I believe, in the 1960s, when NASA was moving, and we had this dome. I remember because they even have a galley, and there's several gates that you have to call in. You pick up the phone and then you call in, and you talk to the security, and they ask you what's your business to go in the main office.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this guy, the security. I was in patrol, and I told him I want to see the inside. So he came out to the van, the NASA van, and opened the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took me to the bottom to see what's going on at the bottom of that building.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me that I can see, it's like a TV stuff. I can see Italy.
Oh, wow. On the screen. On the screen, just
like TV.
Yeah. Wow, how cool was that? That must have been really
It is.
neat.
And I remember several guys that are in control in charge of that area.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning before the NASA came in, that entire downtown area belongs to Pedro Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
So the NASA first to camouflage the area, they started to plant sugarcane. Like the farming, right?
Yeah.
Start building up the dome.
Uh-huh.
And they make the road. You know, from, I believe from Naval Station, they have an underground cable all the way to London.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I remember because the two local guys, even, matter of fact, two of my uncle who were working at NASA,
wow.
they don't have, later on they have the electrical, the power, the main line.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for only for the use, but underground is the classified information that goes on under the building.
Okay. Well, that's some interesting stuff. You know, not very many people are able to go in there and see stuff like that. But you know, that whole area was you know, in a community where there were residents living
the
there.
Compound now, the military bought that property for $9 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so the whole area, I showed only about the area and the fencing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about an acre lot, more than, I think it's hectares. Yeah, adjacent to the landfill,
Mm-hmm.
close to the landfill.
Okay.
And now I believe the entire NASA bought the entire area.
Okay. All right. Well, I do appreciate this. Thank you for the insight about Dan, and I'm glad you had the experience. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Take good care.
Something that, you know, some people didn't even know, even the people from Iran didn't even know that we had a NASA, the first shuttle that flies out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
NASA. London, and still, the sign still says NASA.
Yeah, I've seen that. All right. Well, Totten Joe, I got to go to the news. Thanks so much for as usual, giving us the history lesson behind the area. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. God bless. Take good care. Hey, you know, in a few years after we're all aged and maybe moved on to another hemisphere, we're going to remember these calls from somebody who has a very active memory of an entire time from his childhood and into these years, you know, that he's lived. And I will never not take a phone call from him because he's just a really great guy, just trying to do great things for the community. And he's got a lot of good memories to share. And we should all just every once in a while stop and have patience for those who want to tell us things that we don't know, especially when we think we know everything except for Dice's mystery friend.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to find out.
Okay.
It's 9 o'clock. We're going to hit that AP News. We'll be right back.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The U.S. has reimposed a naval blockade on Iran and intensified its airstrike campaign. Iranian officials say at least 7 troops have been killed and hundreds across the country have been wounded. John Gambrell has more from Dubai.
This comes as Iran has been attacking ships going through the Strait of Hormuz on a route hugging the coastline of Oman. Tehran has insisted that any ship going through the strait must do so on a route through Iranian waters and must follow the instructions of Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard. Now, the U.S. had been trying to support those vessels, and the UN's International Maritime Organization had supported this route around Oman. As these attacks on ships have continued, and Iran has retaliated against Middle East allies of America, this has really called into question any sort of permanent end.
Oil prices ticked a little higher, Brent crude settling just below $85 per barrel. U.S. gasoline prices also ticked up 3 cents from yesterday. AAA puts the national average at $3.89 per gallon. Meanwhile, inflation at the wholesale level eased in June. However, year-over-year producer prices were up 5.5%. In other news, Marissa Duhaney reports President Trump's pushing back against a move by his own administration.
The president urged that immigration and customs enforcement should continue vehicle traffic stops, seeming to oppose a new suspension of the practice used as part of his immigration crackdown. In a Truth Social post, Trump said, quote, "The men and women of ICE are doing a great job, one that has to be done." He also said that in order to remove criminals he claims were let into the country under the previous Democratic administration, we cannot give up on one of ICE's most important and effective crime-fighting tools, the traffic stop. But it comes after Trump administration officials told ICE officers to suspend most vehicle stops after 2 deadly shootings within a week. The deaths renewed criticism of the agency's enforcement tactics that were widely condemned last winter after the killings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good in Minnesota.
This is AP News. Donna Warder has some promising study results from the world of medicine.
A blood test could determine whether a healthy adult is likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. In the study, doctors tested for the presence of a brain protein called p-tau217, which helps fuel Alzheimer's. Dr. Risa Sperling is with Mass General Brigham Neuroscience Institute.
We found that people who have very high levels of this blood test abnormality, p-tau217, were very likely to progress over time. So 38% of them progressed to impairment within 5 years, and actually up to 78% within 10 years.
But Sperling says it's too soon for healthy people to get the blood test, which is now used to help diagnose people who are experiencing cognitive problems. I'm Donna Warder.
There's more news and the latest developments at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening. AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche confronted skeptical questioning at a Senate confirmation hearing to assume the post permanently. Democrat Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island.
How long do you intend to put up with that Kash Patel character? Are you good with his airplane jaunts? Are you confident he's not drinking on the job? Are you sure none of his travel is a pretext for vacation activities like snorkeling, Olympics, and visiting girlfriends? Are you sure he knows what he's doing? Do you vouch for him? Are you willing to look at whether he lied to this committee?
That's an extraordinarily obnoxious question, Senator, and I have full faith in Director Patel and the work that he's doing every day.
Great, you get to own that.
At another hearing on Capitol Hill, Ed Donahue reports President Trump's nominee for National Intelligence Director clashed with Democrats over the 2020 election.
Jay Clayton was asked over and over again whether former President Joe Biden won the election and defeated Donald Trump.
Joe Biden was certified as the president of the United States.
Clayton wouldn't say outright Biden won and didn't answer when questioned by Georgia Democrat John Ossoff.
You refuse to answer a basic question about who won a presidential election, but you asked to lead America's intelligence community? Isn't it humiliating to be unable to answer this question, to have to indulge the president's delusions?
Clayton has broad support among Republicans, but the tension with Democrats could be a blow to GOP leaders who wanted a quick vote. Ed Donahue, Washington.
President Trump says ICE officers should continue vehicle stops. The statements run counter to a suspension of those stops following 3 deaths in the past week. U.S. forces have carried out 3 waves of strikes on Iran in the past 24 hours after reimposing a naval blockade. And Argentina is headed to the World Cup final after beating England this afternoon 2-1. This is AP News. Inflation at the wholesale level fell from May to June on plunging energy prices, though year-over-year producer prices were up 5.5%. Seth Sudell has the AP Markets report.
Stocks edged higher on Wall Street after several big companies turned in better than expected profit reports. The S&P 500 rose 0.4% Wednesday. The Dow added 150 points, that's about 0.3%. The Nasdaq Composite rose 0.6%. BlackRock rose 6.6% after becoming the latest financial company to report bigger profits than Wall Street expected. Stocks got a hand from another report showing that inflation eased in the U.S. last month. That helps take pressure off the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates. Treasury yields moved lower in the bond market. The yield on the 10-year Treasury fell to 4.55%. Seth Sudell, New York.
There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
AP News, I'm the last 2 years, we have built strong relationships, opened new doors, and created real opportunities for our island. Those partnerships continue to grow stronger, and together, we are making meaningful progress for Guam. Early voting for 2026 primary elections begins July 9th and runs through July 25th at the Westin Resort. Tuesdays through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now is not the time to lose momentum. The foundation has been laid. The relationships have been built, and opportunities before Guam have never been greater. Your vote will help ensure we continue moving forward together. I humbly ask for your support and your vote. Let's keep building a stronger future for Guam. I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
The road to Adelup is here. And this time we spoke with Democrat candidates, Senator Toriz Terlahi and Senator Sabina Perez. Here is your opportunity to hear how they plan to govern Guam. Watch the conversation on Wave 105's YouTube channel, dated May 28th. This is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Why be at the forefront of childhood cancer research? At St. Jude, we do it because every innovation we make is a moment we give to children with cancer everywhere. But we can't do it without you. Help St. Jude give children with cancer more moments. Moments that can last a lifetime. Learn more at stjude.org.
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munilla Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
We're shedding old fears today to look at how one of the world's most terrifying creatures secretly saves human lives in modern hospitals. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for July 16th.
World Snake Day is typically a time when wildlife sanctuaries try to convince us that these slithering reptiles aren't quite as scary as they look. But while snake venom is universally feared as a dangerous toxin, it is actually one of modern medicine's greatest assets. Laboratory scientists use the complex proteins found inside viper and cobra venom to synthesize critical fast-acting pharmaceuticals. These specialized medications lower high blood pressure, dissolve blood clots, and stop strokes in emergency rooms every single day. By studying how these predatory chemicals interact with human cells, researchers have successfully transformed a deadly weapon into a weapon against disease. It turns out that a creature we usually associate with danger is secretly helping to preserve millions of human lives.
You know, that's really pretty incredible that the snakes use this as a defense to get rid of us.
Yep.
So we take them and use it to save us.
We should let them know and thank them.
Probably.
I think they would really appreciate that.
I'm still creeped out by snakes, okay? I'll admit it. We are also celebrating National Corn Fritters Day and Get to Know Your Customers Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks, world-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
Registering a domain name on the web? You should know about Pernick. Pernick offers .com names at a great price with quality service you expect. Because Pernick is powered by internet leader Pair Networks. Whether you need a domain name for business or personal use, Pernick is your best choice. Remember Pernick when you need a domain name. That's PAIRNIC.com. Pernick.
105.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam. Keep the day moving right here on Mornings with Patti.
I'm the spark in the room when the bass go boom.
I'm the spark in the room when the bass go boom. Oh yes, and we are just gonna boom right out of here due to services and things that are way beyond our control today. And we will see all of you lovely people tomorrow. Make sure that you guys hug your GPA friends. Liberation Day is coming up. And they may have some fun adult toys to play with. Maybe not. We don't know. But thank you guys all for hanging out with me. My name is Dice, and that is Patti Arroyo. And it was a great Thursday. What? That wasn't good. I thought that was good, dog. I think I nailed that one. You're doing like I'm doing a great job. Look, mic is off. Again, thank you, streaming live. My on the mic way. is off? No, you're good. No, I got this part. So again, you can stick hot. around. Look, community shows are up next, and yeah, thank you guys. Our con is out. Yes, and it's it's bigger than my hormones. The problem is bigger than my hormones are bigger than. It's too hot, guys. It's really my pee today, guys. I'm so sorry. We are in a sauna. Black Lives Matter. I'm so sorry. We are gonna call it a day. Thank you guys again for hanging out with us. I'm Dice, and that's Patti, and we will see you back here tomorrow. How was that? Was that good? Peace. Yes, peace out. Peace out, people. Shoot, shoot. Balut.